Hey guys, Tarke here, and today we are joined by Raiz, Noogie, and Octavian with a new haircut, and we're going to be talking all about Legion. And to just get into it, we'll go into what everyone's been up to. Raiz, what have you been up to?
A lot of rerolls. Legion's great. Just died a bunch. I mean, I died twice to Legion. It was cool. Then I rerolled. Both times was Essence Drain. Then I couldn't bring myself to play any more Essence Drain. I rolled something Cyclone. Oh, and then I died to Zombies. That was great. To Zombie Cloud. And now I'm just like perpetually rerolling different melee things over and over. Oh, there was also Divine Ire there, but Divine Ire was bugged, so I had to quit the character once I got to Stormfire, which was level 80, which kind of sucked. And also Scourge Arrow, which I think is fixed now. It was bugged where it was like channeling 8 times faster or something than it was supposed to.
Yeah, it was too good.
I think it's fixed.
And now they've nerfed it, which is, yeah.
What? I thought it was just the mana, right? I was like, "Ooh, this shit charges up real fast," because I've never played it before. And now that I know that it was actually charging up so much faster, I was like complaining about it. I was like, "Man, this shit drains mana too fast. It's broken. I can't single target." But now, yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? Like, on the one hand, it's a bug fix, but I don't like them fucking with how abilities function mid-league, personally.
Ah, come on. The skill was like, Scourge Arrow was like a known skill. It's been working like a way for a long time, and then it ends up doing like what 8 times the charge up. That's just an easy fix.
I heard that it was the same last league though. That this wasn't like due to this league, but it was already broken last league. So
last league, the mana worked. I mean, Octavian can tell us about this.
The bug last league was that it just didn't have a mana cost while channeling.
Oh.
They gave it a mana cost because skills have mana costs, and people went mad.
Yeah, because it just had an activation cost, so you just like you'd get the first tick would cost, and then it would cost nothing for the rest. But it'd been like that since it was first introduced, though, wasn't it?
It's long enough ago now, like the very first Scourge Arrow build I played, that I can't recall specifically. It very well could have been, because mana has never really been a problem outside of this current bug for the skill. Channel skills just don't have like incredibly high mana costs generally, and you can attack them with like minus mana or something. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't played Scourge Arrow this league, so I don't know how badly the current bug affected its mana, but it is weird that the skill keeps having mana related issues.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it right now. What did you play, Octavian?
I've only played the one build so far, and it's a Lightning Trap Saboteur that I've been using the newly buffed Malachai's Awakening to scale a ton of damage through like Shrouded Lightless. It's a build that I played back in Incursion, but instead of a Scion and Fire Trap, I'm doing Saboteur and Lightning Trap this time, and it's been going pretty damn well. I have basically min-maxed it about as far as I want to. I'm probably going to be starting a new build soon.
Nice.
Yeah. How are you finding the defense? Because I also league started on that, played it to 90, and then I was like, I want to play something a bit tankier, and then I rolled off it.
It is a little squishy until you've like really put a good amount of time and effort in. That's its main problem. It's not even a problem of mitigation, because Saboteur, Blind, and a lot of dodge and evasion and stuff means most things don't hit you, but it's like a problem of EHP, so the few hits that do get through or like dots are a problem. I found Chaos dots were an issue in particular, so I rolled Stygian Vise with Essence of Delirium until I got a good belt for the plus 50% Chaos Res during any flask effect. That helped a bunch. I actually also used one of the new unique tools to help out my survivability, because I checked a bunch of them until I found one that happened to give me plus 20% max life from the smaller nodes in the tree, and that allowed me to push to like 6.2k life or something.
Yeah,
Which,
I was thinking that would help that a lot. Yeah.
It felt a lot better.
I'm curious what you guys think about this. I've been avoiding acro this league, because my first character was acro, phase acro, like all this dodge, all this evasion stuff. But then when you've only got like 5.5k life, especially with like the Val dudes in Legion, it's like no. So now I'm going full granite, basalts, just get all the Fizzmit, and I'm feeling so much tankier. It's unreal.
You still get one shot though. doesn't matter. I tried the Scourge arrow. My build's destroyed because it was like poison mirage archer and it was just shooting instantly the whole time. Now it takes like 3 seconds to charge up. So yeah, it feels good.
I agree with you, Tarke, though. That's a trap. Acro. Like, people were so into it since like the last couple of leagues. Like, oh, you have to get acro and everything. Acro. It's like, shouldn't get acro this league. Unless you're like traveling right next to it and you're building around it, you just shouldn't get it. You shouldn't like spend 3-4 points to get there and then taking it. It's like just not worth it.
I think it's
Acro
just
is-
this league thing. I don't know.
Acro is kind of like how Mind Over Matter used to be, like when it first came out, where it was like just enough defense to make you feel really safe, and you just didn't need more. But now that you actually need like significantly more, it's pretty inconsistent.
I mean, saying that, I've had multiple conversations with Crying, and he's like, Acro's a trap. He's always been like really anti-Acro, and he's always been like full, like even when he was doing like trappers and miners, he wasn't taking it and stuff.
I think there was one league where it was like pretty much mandatory. That's kind of where it started, Incursion. That's where people started taking aggro. And it just kind of lingered because of all the chaos bitters.
I agree. I was more of an armor guy, and then I think I saw Steel play it, and I was like, he's investing like 14 points or something to pick it up. Guess it's worth it. I tried it, and ever since then I was like, yeah, okay, this works pretty well.
I think it was also because like that was when everyone was doing like Ellie Overload Herald based Elementalists, and you just had like an awkward amount of points left, so you're kind of like, I guess I'll just get aggro, and you're just like slapping it in, sort of thing.
You do have
always life to get.
You do have a new tool nowadays for helping out armor builds, which is Vol Molten Shell. It's just utterly ridiculous if you scale any significant amount of armor. Like, you don't have to be reaching cap. If you have like 10k armor or something, Vol Molten Shell is very good.
Even just Steel Skin is amazing. I've been loving it. I've been using it in all my characters. Like, once you get the muscle memory, you just rotate it in. Just having that 2k extra EHP when you need it is amazing.
So we're saying that we like the new guard skills?
I love them. Are any of you guys not into them?
I was always a huge armor fan. I always thought armor was underrated, so for them to give us something now to like truly justify it is really cool.
You know, Raiz, I don't know how realistic it is in Solar Found, but they, with the changes to dense fossil affixes and some of the new wheels on the tree, between a couple ring, belts, amulet, boot, and tree, and a wheel on the tree, it is possible to get 100% chance when hit for double armor effect now, which is
damn.
Now it's double armor effect, so it's not actually double your armor value, so it's not going to like feed into a molten shell as a result. But I don't know, still might be worth exploring.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I like how they added caps to the things, because when they first released the gems, I was like, ooh, this doesn't have a cap. This is gonna get really ridiculous. Now it is, but it's like still like 10,000 damage or something.
I think it's a 30,000 cap on Vol Molten Shell.
Yeah,
or something.
I think
it
is
is ridiculous. The Vol version is insane. And it's reflected damage, so your like percent area or percent fire damage on the tree doesn't affect it, but directly linked support gems should. And you could also like put it in an Essence of Horror helmet.
Nice.
What builds have you been playing though, Niggy? What have you been up to?
Everything melee. Started out as a gladiator. That's kind of a trap right now. I would say. Now I'm Cyclone. Played Bladestorm. Then I played, what else did I play? I played Bladestorm and Earthquake to start with on the Glad. That was really good. Right? Because you jump in, one tap, and it goes. So that was really nice. Then I played. Now I'm playing Cyclone on the Slayer. That's insane. It's literally the entire screen. I mean, and I'm doing good damage. I have like 1 million. Like once I'm like fully juiced up, I have like 1 million here per DPS, while hitting the entire screen. So it's like, instead of waiting for, let's say you're doing sweep, right? Let's say you get that to screen wide, that has like the wind up. But once you get enough Cyclone damage, you like, because there's so much more attack speed, you just like tap it and the screen just disappears. And you don't even with the funny thing with the new what's it called, MTX, you don't even see the side with the wind up. It's just the screen just disappears because like there's just like a little twirl coming out and that's it. And
Can't believe you're using that. I don't like it at all.
I actually really like it.
dude, it's like it's pay to win. I'm telling you.
You can actually see the screen.
You can see
Yeah.
the screen.
That's true.
It's the best.
I wish
the
they
Dark
would do
Cyclone
that
one
for
is
more
really bad.
abilities. I really like that one.
Can you imagine if you could use like the vanishing thing on skills? You could just remove everything.
I would love that.
Oh my god.
Your character's just like spitting, but there's no animation to it. It's like a T pose. Nice.
That'd be cool.
I'll say this though, like having played that thing, I really want them to give us like an option to like reduce particle effects because it's just nice sometimes to just say I don't want to look at all this crap.
I would like more silent. I played Lightning Trap. Another reason why I kind of went off Lightning Trap was the like flashbacks. It's just like constant. You're like, oh god.
I've gotten that from my stream a few times.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm doing something like, I don't know, Uber Zeri or the Temple Boss where they've got that long immunity phase.
And you
I'm just sitting there
throwing it down
spamming
the
traps.
whole time.
It just sounds like you're in the middle of a war zone.
Yeah. But yeah, so personally, I went from Lightning Trap and then I did Scourge, Arrow, Glad, and it's really annoying. Glad, if it worked all the time, is better Deadeye for a lot of abilities, in my opinion. But it's the fact it's like it doesn't get the charges of Legion stuff is really weird.
Really?
Yeah, it's
it
like,
does only, but you need to swap to the so the way you get charges and you can maintain charges, you swap to the red
Bleed.
to bleed, and then you hit a rare.
Yeah, and then you have to swap back.
It's really annoying. You have to do that, but that's kind of how you can maintain it.
So I did that, and then okay, so Noogie, I have an issue. This is you. This is your fault. So Noogie had this really cool puncture pace spin that was doing the round, and I got really excited because I remembered puncture was really cool back in the day. And I was doing my Scourge Arrow character, the Tempest, and I'm like, okay, I need to pick. I'm either going to invest into a Hope Shredder, or a Wind Ripper, and I'm either going to go like a damage build or an MF build. I need to decide what I want to fully commit to. But then I was like, or I could. I've actually got all the gear I need. I could test out Noogie's puncture build. And I was like, I could get a couple of respecs going. And I was like, I fossil crafted the thing. By the way, this is really good for SSF if you play any bow characters. The new 6-link level 100 Imperial is so easy to farm. I got a complete set in less than 3 hours doing tier 1 desert. Super easy. But anyway, so I crafted the bow. I do the respec. I do it all. I puncture. I'm now playing an Ellie Hit Berserker. So yeah, I'm loving my new build. My new build is amazing. My Gladiator
Wait, you didn't like it?
It's awful, dude. It makes a nice sound. It does surprisingly like okay-ish boss damage. It's shit clear. It's really like
the clear
Because I didn't have enough. You didn't have enough peers either. You need to stack a decent amount of.
I had like 2-3 peers, but like puncture's just such a slow attack, and it's like the way you root the tree. It's just kind of like I could have made it work if I really wanted to, but it was kind of like I tried it and I'm like
wasn't exciting enough.
Yeah, I tried it and I'm like, nah, this isn't worth me making. If someone like wanted to and was like committed to it and they were in a proper trade environment, not in like a scuffed private league, and they had the currency and they really planned it out and they didn't just kind of do it on the fly. Like I really winged it. Like the bow I crafted was like half the damage it should be. I was like level 80, low 80s or something. I could have put more points into jewels in this, but I was like,
you have a lionized jewel?
Yeah, I had the lionized jewel. I converted everything on the right side of the tree. Like I had like 90% of the character set up. I didn't have the steel rings though. I didn't have like min-max attack speed everywhere.
Doesn't do that much.
Yeah, it's like I had like 80% of the build, and I was doing some maps. And I'm like, this isn't the thing that I should be like investing all this currency to make work. So yeah, I'm now playing a Ellie Hit Berserker with bows, just because people get excited and think I'm playing a melee build. Berserker's really fun. Rage is such a cool mechanic. I really like it. And my favorite ability is Dash. Dash is the best thing they've ever added to PoE. And like hands down is so good. It feels great on bow builds because it's just like I've always found blink arrows cool, but even if you have like a shit ton of attack speed and it's linked to enhance and stuff, you sometimes get like caught out as you're firing up with dash, like just like flying around, and it's dash is so good.
Do you ever use the jump back dodge roll functionality on it? Because I don't think I've seen anyone like legitimately make use of that yet.
I got really excited. I had an amazing brainwave. I thought what I'll do is I'll have Q, because if you have it force stand still in it, it goes backwards. So I was like, I'll have Q not with force stand still, and then I'll have W with force stand still on, so I can press 1 to go forward, 1 to go backwards. The problem is the keybind is bound to the gem, not the slot. So I can have individual binds for it. So yeah, if I had two different gems, then I could have like 2 different bindings to like dash forward and backwards. But one thing which is cool about it is you can, this only works with Frostblink, but you can Frostblink while channeling. Which is kind of cool for like, I did that quite a lot when I was playing Scourge Arrow. But yeah.
Frostblink I hear is really good. I actually haven't tried it.
I tried it a little bit, and I'm just too much of a Dash fanboy, and I'm just kind of like, Dash is the one, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It's like the same thing, but one has better cooldown recovery.
Just Dash.
But how far does Frostblink go?
Well, no, Dash is more consistent because Dash is always the same, whereas the Frostblink is like, if there are enemies, it's better. If there aren't enemies, it's worse. So.
Yeah, but it's like even when leveling, it pretty much doesn't have a cooldown if you use it right. Like you can't use it as frequently, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool, but I haven't used it in like a end scenario.
Which one goes further? Same length?
I think they go about the same. Yeah.
They're both the same length, and then flame. They go like 3/4 of a flame dash. That's the one bad thing about them is you still need a flame dash or a blink arrow to get over ledges, like or like bridges.
Okay.
So yeah.
I've held on to Flame Dash just because I like the consistency of how far it goes, but maybe I'm just clinging to my old safety blanket movement skills. I'm not ready to move on to the future.
For a proper caster build, Flame Dash is better because once you have cast speed, it feels okay. The only thing which annoyed me a little bit about Flame Dash is, so it's got the double charge bug sometimes still, so it feels sometimes inconsistent where you go the wrong direction. And also, personally, I would sometimes get caught out because it's like, because we don't have a timer for when you get the instant animation again, sometimes you think it should be instant, but then you get the true cast, and it's a bit slower than you want it to be, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, it makes timing dodges a bit weird. Someone knows what I mean. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. And Dash, the cooldown on Dash isn't low enough that you ever run into that problem.
Exactly.
Because by the time Dash is back up again, you have your instant ability recharged as well.
Also, the 2 new movement cooldown clusters in the bottom right of the tree are sick, and I've been running those on all my builds in that part of the tree. And with Dash, it feels beautiful.
All your builds? Wow.
All my builds, all 2 of my 3 builds this league, you know.
A lot of commitment.
Yeah. But anyway.
So I'm kind of pissed. I just noticed that Octavian's microphone is from below and not from above like he usually has it.
Oh, sorry. You need to fire your editor and get a better artist.
Not true to life.
Yeah.
No, it's I've changed around my circumstances a little bit.
But since we haven't actually spoken about it really at all, Legion, by the way, cool new league.
Yeah.
It's neat. Yeah.
It's kind of slightly okay.
It's neat. Wow. That's all you have to say?
What have you had to say, Noogie?
It's awesome.
What are your feelings on the matter?
It's great. Monsters fight back. We can decide what we want to fight them. There's like this chase to get them all out. Good rewards. It's just good. It's just awesome. It's just fun all around. There's no I need to tap out and check my list of 80 billion things on my Switch.
let me look at my grocery list before we do the mechanic.
So it's just nice.
What are your thoughts on incubators, though? Because I remember you were very tepid about them going into the league.
Yes. So I think the way they advertise them is not really what they are. I mean, I thought they were going to be like this cool way, because I think I remember them being like, "Oh, this is a cool way you can like decide what you get,"
Mm.
kind of thing, right? Which it isn't at all. It's just it's like a different way to get a drop.
It's a different
Which
kind of gamble.
yeah, which it's fun. I actually like them. They don't clutter your inventory, which is great. There's like just enough of them so that they got that right. And yeah, I like them because they're not trying to do what I thought they wanted them to do. So that's good. You aren't like target farming anything. And have any of you ever bought one?
No.
Like you're not gonna buy these.
No.
That's just I don't know. Maybe
Sold
some
a few.
guys. But if you find a good one, you're gonna
The
run.
time lost incubators, they're basically a gamble for Headhunter. You know, and we're talking about trade
That's
softcore.
true. Yeah,
And often
okay.
items that are a gamble for Headhunter are not really worth using yourself because they're overpriced in the market because people really want to gamble.
That's true.
You know, like
That's true.
if you're turning in like
Yeah.
the Nemesis diff card
So
set,
it's
that
like
sort
an
of thing.
ancient orb, essentially, what you're saying.
Yes, it's similar to that. So they sell for like 30 to 40 chaos, and
Okay.
the handful of them that I've run have given me 2 Troll Timber Spires and a Tessalia's sign. So I'd rather just sell them for 35
Yeah.
Do you want to hear something depressing? Day 1, someone in my private league got a Headhunter from it.
I mean, that's why people want to buy them for 35 because they
yeah.
hear those stories and they're like, oh man, I might get one. And they take like
That's kinda
50,000
cool,
kills to charge.
Yeah.
Too.
We actually have 2 Headhunters in my private league now, which is pretty cool. Like, less than a week in, we got them. It's like, oh shit. Yeah.
I think I like them even better now when they finally added in the little timer, so you can see. Because I got confused all the time. I was like, "Wait, what dropped? How did that drop?" Especially when there was a map.
I like that.
Oh my god! The worst thing when it was so I'm running like my shape maps, and there's a bug in shape maps already, where on the boss kill, it doesn't drop the shape version; it drops the unshape version. So I kept getting that, and then all of a sudden, then another map drops that's like 5. Like it's just completely wrong tier. I'm like, what? It's just the incubators. God damn it.
I mean, just for people who maybe don't know yet, if you're running an incubator, a cartography one that drops a map, the map that's going to drop, as Noogie found out, is going to be an eye level from where that incubator came from, not the map that you're in. So if you're running one that dropped in a T6 map, you'll get a T6 map, even if you're running a T16. Also, there's one other bug with incubators right now. It used to be that if you tried to use an incubator on an item that was already incubating something, you'd get an error message, or not an error message, but a warning, like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Yeah, it's gone now. So
yeah, because
careful.
I did that earlier.
Same.
Same.
So hopefully they fix that and bring back the warning message. But yeah, just for now, be careful about what items you're incubating things on, because you can just overwrite it without any preamble.
I kind of wish they just added an obvious like icon on the slot itself rather than just a random like bar at the bottom. Just like a badge, you know, just like top right, just put a badge there, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, same icon as the incubator, maybe. That could be nice.
But
if they have the warning message, it's the point's moot. I imagine they didn't mean to get rid of that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, why would they have it in the first place to get rid of it? Makes sense. I wonder though, would the incubators? How would it have felt if it was just a drop immediately from the guy you saw, right? So you chased the icon and you knew that whenever you killed the icon, there was a chance. I mean, what actually changes in that scenario?
I think I prefer that it's the incubator, and especially since they are as rare as they are, even though in the scheme of things it's all fairly like meaningless, it does feel special. And it's kind of like, oh, I got one of these, and you put it on, and now that they've got the level up bar, I think it just adds a level of excitement that's just kind of similar to like just corrupting and empower. You're like, oh, I can't wait to do that when that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, look no further than something like clicker games to see that people just like to see a bar go up. And
that's true.
Like, this is a fairly harmless way to add more bars that go up to the game, I guess.
I find myself liking them. I was just like wondering, just what do you guys thought?
It also allows them
wish,
to.
Though, that it had a lightning beam or like a fucking animation though. Like, you know when it pops.
It would be nice, yes.
Like you know in WoW when you level up, you get the golden like ding. I wish you had a ding. you know.
I mean, you do. It's your loot filter. If it's good, ding.
But if it's shit, it's like that was the thing.
If it's shit,
Then it's shit.
keep running.
When I was leveling on like the first couple of days, I thought my incubators weren't working because I wasn't noticing the drops. I was like, chat, I think incubators are broken. I'm like, yeah, I think they're broken. It's like, no, I think they're definitely working. And I know
I
that
didn't
they've
think they
definitely
weren't
broken
working,
them.
but yeah, I didn't think they weren't working, but like my filter just because I switched to a really strict filter like really early, and yeah, I didn't find like a single thing for the first 2 days.
It's disappointing when you watch the bar go up and it fills and then nothing shows up in your filter with like a div card incubator or something, and you hit alt. Oh, it's the Scholar.
Nice.
Thanks.
Speaking about the actual like Legion mechanic itself, though, since we seem to kind of like incubators, even though they are a bit scuffed, what do we think? And I'm really curious to hear what Raiz and Noogie have to say about this. Since I've swapped
I see
to
how it is.
softcore,
No, I get it.
shut up.
Rise and Noogie. It's fine. I don't have a webcam. Basically not here.
Let me say my point, and then you'll know why I asked them in particular.
No, go ahead.
Since I've swapped to softcore, I actually really enjoy how like overly rippy the content is early on, because it's kind of like it's racy and like yay, but I didn't lose my character. How do you guys feel about the trend we've had the last few leagues where it's just so ridiculously overtuned off the bat?
I got a delivery guy coming upstairs, so I gotta wait for a minute. You guys talk because I gotta open the door.
You, Noogie. Go ahead.
Right, I like it. I just straight up like it. I think there's like a bit of a, I mean, with everything, there's a bit of a balance issue, right? The dual strike thing did like it was crazy damage. It's the one thing that the one shot says. I got hit for. I did like a little bit of calculation afterwards, like with my fortify, the armor, everything. It hit me for anywhere between an unmitigated hit for like 10 to 12,000. It's like a shaper slam in a map.
What tier were you at?
It was like tier 11.
That's still, it's still pretty big.
I mean, I was like, okay. I mean, I survived it. I was like, oh, okay. I see how you're playing. Okay. So they were kind of crazy. I mean, that was also the point to the aggro, because you die. Because then you like invest into that, you lose armor, you lose EHP, and you're dead. So I mean, I think that the kind of shift, giving them like more just powerful attacks that hit us again, is a good thing. Yeah. Because we've kind of gotten into this like just stack enough avoidance, and then you will never die. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. So that's good. What else do we have?
We have the overlap spear.
The blood walls
and
were
the cloud
bullshit.
of death thing. Yeah, the red cloud.
The cloud of death was bullshit because it was like off screen and it spawned under your feet and it ticked really fast.
So also, it seems like it ticks before the animation as well.
Yes, it does. Yes. That's how I died on one of my characters.
It's really difficult to read where it's going as well, because it does seem to move slightly, sort of like the Arctic breath creep kind of stuff.
No, okay. So it moves. And it moves directly in a line from where
the enemies
from
are?
it and to you, and then through you. If you always move forward or perpendicular to it, you will never be hit if you're always moving. That's why the people who panic, you step back, you die.
Sort of like lab traps. Panicking gets you killed.
Yes, exactly. That's so. Once I figured, because I was like, after my first death, I was paranoid. I was big circles, right? Just drive-bys all day. So yeah, it took me like half a day to figure out how to deal with them in a safe way.
One thing I do want to bring up, because it just feels a little off, is some of the balancing on the Legion monsters themselves in terms of how dangerous each individual faction is. Because it seems to me that like the Vol in particular are inordinately dangerous because they just had the most overtuned attacks with the red mist and the axe throwers and all that, but they're also one of the more common and one of the lesser factions, so to speak. And the Mariketh comparatively, while dangerous sometimes, are not nearly as scary. It just seems a little weird to me that like it's not like Breach
like
where something like Chayula is the
Zoff
scariest.
and Chayula around. It feels weird. Yeah.
Also, why are the Mariketh the rarest? Like, they never struck me as being super important story-wise. I don't know. That's a smaller complaint, but I would have expected something like the Eternal Empire or the Vol to be the really difficult ones, and the really crazy rare ones to find.
I
guess.
I think one of my biggest issues with, like, if we're talking about the specific Legion stuff, is it's very difficult to read the damage types. Like, it's not obvious. It's like, okay, Karui is fire,
Yes.
cool. But then Lion Eyes, most of his animations seem to be fire-based as well. So it's like, okay, so Karui is fire, Lion Eyes is also fire, his, like, spear dudes also seem to be fire. When the Red Cloud of Death, everyone was like, oh, it must be chaos damage, but I'm pretty sure it's pure physical. And then it's like Maraketh, they do some kind of desert physical damage as well.
Is
I think
probably
it's
what I'm
mostly
thinking.
physical.
Like
So-
physical dots.
So it seems like it's just like lots of fizz and lots of fire, which just seems a bit weird.
The,
Lightning
the
and
Templars,
cold
yeah,
and-
the Templars do lightning, it seems.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's one thing that was really nice about Breach, right? You had all these themes that you could easily recognize.
Yeah.
I think that's I actually think that's like one of the small things they didn't do as well in Legion. It's just like it's hard to identify what you're fighting before the fight goes on,
Mm-hmm.
which is a little unfortunate because I think that adds to it, right? Like, oh, I want to fight that guy. I feel like it's really difficult to identify. Like, you first have to like, oh, what is the one, like, if you're not fast enough and you have to be like quick thinking and you want to unlock something, if you don't even know what you're fighting to begin with, and the icons are a little bit hard sometimes to like really, until they get like the icons in your head, it's hard to read. Like, just the visual feel of it. It's really hard to read.
Do you guys also have the thing, I think it's the Templars, I'm not sure, but it's like, so all the different legions, their like shell state are different colors. The one which is blue, I always feel like I've already unlocked them, because it's like, they're kind of like grayed out
You can
almost.
see it, yeah.
I had that
Yeah.
problem a lot at the start of the league.
Yeah.
I was throwing my traps into people that were already unlocked super often.
It's just the Templars. They have this like bluey grey color, and their unlock state looks similar to everyone else. Whereas like the Maraketh is orange, I think. I don't know. One of them's like orange, one of them's red. Those are really obvious, like shell colors. But then it's like this grayed out blue, just like throws me off. And it's like, I don't know how the fuck colorblind people manage this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Look for the ones on dinosaurs.
yeah.
Do you have any tips
You'll know that's
for like
America.
identifying things?
I mean, that's what I do. Yeah, I just look for the ones on dinosaurs. I treat because Maraketh are much more valuable than any other faction, so I just treat every other faction like roughly equivalently. It's not quite equivalent between them all. Like there's one other that's like a little equivalency in terms of rarity, I guess. But whenever I see dinosaurs, I try and clear every one of those out because that's Maraketh.
Yeah.
I do sometimes kind of wish that they're like, this is I love Legion. Legion's one of my favorite leagues so far, but it does feel like the art team weren't players, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes you play something and it feels like the art wasn't designed by someone who plays the game. It's like the shell coloration things and the fact that it is hard to tell. It's kind of like, it doesn't feel like someone who plays this came up with that. I don't know if that's just me, but
I don't know. To me, it's a real clusterfuck.
it's like we had the same thing with the Katarina fight. It was like green on green on green. It's like with some of the league mechanics, it's like I love the content and I love the mechanic, but it's just like with some of the color choices, I'm kind of like, it doesn't feel like a player designed it.
And it's not to say it doesn't look good. It's
it looks great.
Not like in a screenshot or something, it looks beautiful, but it's just hard to actually decipher while playing.
Yeah.
Okay, have you guys? I'm sure Octavian has. I don't know if Niggy and Raiz has. Have you guys done the Emblem fight, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I had no idea that I had to go into the middle, clear the wave, then go back in. It's like my video is
they did this thing before.
It was the same thing with Kata. My video of it, you can see it. I walk around the whole room going, oh, this room looks really cool. Then I accidentally spawn it. I clear it all, and the time is still going down. I spend the next 2 minutes saying, did I win? and I'm walking around, I accidentally spawn enemies again. I'm like, oh shit, a second wave, cool. And then I'm rewatching the video, I'm like, oh, I was meant to like respawn it by doing that. Okay, cool.
I mean, if you're paying rather close attention at the start, you can see like pillar in the middle charges up, that spawns the enemies. Okay, if I go back to the pillar in the middle, maybe I'll respawn some more enemies.
Yeah.
But they could do what they did in the Katarina fight, where they have a little tether that links you to the middle. That's like a glowing, I don't know, maybe not a green line in this case, but a glowing orange or like glowing silvery line or something. So walk to the middle to respawn another wave dummy.
It's just,
And otherwise, I think the fight design is really good.
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
actually
amazing.
really like the concept
yeah.
of basically a boss rush where you just get to keep killing them as often as you can and stacking up more and more and more rewards. There is a problem with it, though, and that problem is Headhunter.
I mean, you can see Grimro in the background just going mental.
Holy shit. Like, okay, I'm going to get some foreheads in chat here because this is very obvious. Headhunter's really good for snowballing.
Wait, what?
Like, yeah, like it is really good in maps already. Everyone knows this. It has been for like the whole game since Nemesis. But take how good Headhunter is and multiply it by like 5, and you have how good Headhunter is in a like 5-way Emblem fight. Because these are very, very worthwhile, powerful bosses that have a lot of loot that just happen to be surrounded by a carpet of rare enemies that you can continually respawn. Like, Grimro is shredding through them right now, as you can see in that footage. And those bosses have as much health as, like, almost Uber Elder each. Like, 5-way boss fights are insanely tanky.
Yeah, the level jump from a 4 to a 5 is ridiculous.
It goes from 79 to 84. And it's an 84 zone with 100% increased experience gain, too. So it's quite good for leveling, on top of giving you just mountains of rewards if you can actually kill a bunch of dudes.
One thing...
What it means essentially is that in Softcore Trade League, unless you're doing min-maxed Headhunter builds to actually get as many boss kills as you can and as much rewards as you can, you probably can't afford to be doing 5-way boss fights. Because I tested a 5-way boss fight or two, and I barely broke even doing like solo with my min-max lightning trap. That's, like 3 hitting Uber Elder phases and for like reference to its single target. So its single target was good. I was actually killing the bosses at an okay pace, but nowhere near as good as like Tornado Shot Headhunter or, X good build that scales with Headhunter here.
Yeah.
Any physical build.
And it's like, because of how the content works, people doing Grimro setup dictate the price of this.
Yes. Because they're most of the market for buying Marikath in particular. That's not to say that like Emblem fights can't be good for your average player, though. I just recommend like a 3-way fight instead of a 5-way. But it's a lot less exciting.
But it is weird because it's kind of like, we saw this with like, where they had a trend of like items like Escher's Mirror. Like, they know this stuff is problematic and they're like, we need an endgame system. What should we do? I know. Let's get a shit ton rares. I was like, oh, okay.
Escher's Mirror, unlike double, I don't know, what's the name of that unique jewel? The Headhunter unique jewel? Inspired
Learning.
Like double Inspired Learning, Escher's Mirror, Ellie stacking build with a Rare Claw, an Elder Rare Claw with Steel enemy mods and a Headhunter. Just go to town on a 5-way fight. It's probably maybe a little more investment than you need in that kind of mechanic, but yeah, you can snowball to hell and back. Use the Shaper Amulet self-cast temp chains.
One thing which we should mention, since we are referencing this footage, so this is Grimro's most recent video. You can find it on his YouTube channel if you want to watch it, anyone chat. It seems like there's a loot cap, which is really interesting, because I don't think they've ever done that before, but there is, like, they cap out on the amount of loot they can get. And they're like, remove the cap. What do you think about the fact that there is a loot cap? And 2, do you think they should remove the loot cap?
No. Actually, with the way Headhunter works, and the way like to keep the reward stable, I think it's just because there has to be like the more the static cost, the more you can like other people can afford them, right? Because otherwise the price will just keep skyrocketing. For the average player to be able to actually, if they want to buy these, you kind of have to have a loot cap, because there has to be like this is how much this will give you. And if it just goes, if it just scales with gear, then it becomes ridiculous. There's like the people who just can run those will just buy them up, and yeah.
I mean, there is still the argument that even with a loot cap, you can start a new instance and do another one faster. So while you're reaching the loot cap in that individual instance, you're still going to be able to outperform others. But yeah, it puts something of a cap on the value generated by the currency you invest into like your Marika Emblem rather than the value generated by your time, I guess.
I think
But isn't that a bad thing? Like that's kind of what boss killing on softcore is right now, no? And it's not like, oh, before it wasn't particularly valuable. Maybe it is more now because Starforge, but kind of ends up being the same thing no matter what you do with it.
Yeah, I mean it's basically just the meta buoying bosses up to being worthwhile. Like Uber Ziri and Shaper are worth killing again because of Starforge and Disfavor, but as the league goes on and more enter the economy, I imagine that'll get whittled away at.
Yeah.
Since we are talking about the economy, and this is going to be mostly just for Octavian, what do you think of the current state of softcore?
I think the player base. I think the player base as a whole is getting faster and better at the game because it's taking less and less time each league for like high value investments, your typical high value investments like Exalts and Headhunter div cards and that kind of thing to sort of normalize in terms of their price to previous leagues. We've actually like 6 days in or something, Exalts have hit around 115, 120. They were still climbing a couple days ago, and now they've started to fall off again. So they've hit like their first plateau, and that's relatively quick if you go back a few leagues. So I think it speaks to their just being a larger player base overall. So even though the same percentage of the player base is in that upper echelon of players who are pursuing that portion of the market, there's a larger number of them, and as a result, the economy takes shape more quickly. And I just think that's interesting. I still think it's perfectly possible because of the nature of the game, even if you don't get on board that hype train of like Exalts for 40C, to make plenty of currency to tackle anything you want. So I don't really think it's much of a problem. And if we're talking about like the people who care really a lot about those kind of small fluctuations, or the first week of the economy, you're more making money for making money's sake, or for like absolute top tier min maxing, which most of the player base doesn't need to do.
Do we think I had this argument in my chat a little bit yesterday, do we think this league is too rewarding?
I don't think it can remain this rewarding if it goes course, so I guess yes. But I don't think it's too rewarding in its current context, because I think a league in its time should be very rewarding.
But doesn't that then have the problem that... See, I was talking about, because we had this in Bestiary, if you guys remember back then, where it was like, everyone was like, oh, there's no drops. And that's because we had like 4 leagues of crazy hyped drops, and then we went back to normal PoE loot tables, and everyone's like, what the fuck? You ruined it. Like, the fuck did you do to my game? And I'm just a bit worried that if we have this, if we're just saying, oh, well, every league has to be this rewarding, then we'll just have the exact same issue because we're just loot creeping.
I think it's rewarding in the right way, though. They kind of went back to what Breach was. Like, I really, for the longest time, couldn't understand the decision behind the 100 Splinter thing, but the more I see it and the more I see like the random rewards dropping, and random, the way you plan them out for yourself and cater towards yourself, it's like Breach, but better in that way. And then everything like past that is something you don't really have to worry about. So I think it works out.
It has impinged on a few like smaller markets, because in order to make it feel more rewarding, they've also dipped into a few like things like prophecies and enchantments and all that previously were a little harder to get. So it's impinged on those markets by making them much more available. And so, for instance, this is kind of crazy. Anyone playing in softcore, Volwins is like 3C, which is kind of ridiculous because Divine Orbs are like 10 or 11. So prophecies in general are way cheaper than they usually are, because there's a lot of people just getting a handful of prophecies every other map, not knowing what to do with them, and just listing them for real cheap because there's so many on the market.
But like,
I got called names a lot. I dropped like 3 in the first day, and people were like, "This fucking streamer RNG." I'm just like, no, they just drop.
And those things are dropping like candy now.
Yeah.
What do you think about the actual like currency, like the amount of exalts and annuls? Like, how many of you guys had an SSF?
I got, after I've leveled for a total of 290 levels, I had no exalts.
Like, what? You got
I didn't find it. I didn't find an exalt
like
all the way.
291 was my first.
Huh.
I leveled till 84 and then till 94, and I had one like around
Were
the
you
time when I died
skipping
on the
Legion though,
95.
or were you doing every Legion?
No. I was doing all of it on both
I was
characters.
trying as much.
Actually,
as
when I
well.
stopped doing Legion as much, and then eventually almost like I don't do it almost at all now. I have the most exalts now, so I don't know. I'm getting cock blocked.
I have a level 90 character and then 2 like mid 80s, so I've barely done like any mapping whatsoever. And I've had 5 exalts raw, and I think I've had 7 annuls. Annuls, I don't know if they've made annuls more common this league as well, but like
I have one.
okay.
Had a good amount of those recently.
Horizon orbs are cool though.
Horizons
yeah.
are nice.
Yeah. I like those a lot.
I think it works fine. At the beginning, when they first introduced them, like, oh, they're messing with our Atlas strats. I was like, I like them.
I like them a lot.
Yeah.
so
Harbinger
much
orbs
nicer.
are rare, are still rare, right? You have to do something to get them. And they were like the
Harbinger
only thing
orbs.
that was problematic in that league anyway. So I like them as well, the Horizons.
I don't know how anyone could hate them. I think Horizon's one of the most interesting things because it's like that early unlocking of the Atlas. There's so many different ways you can take it, and just having that extra tool. I don't know. I think that's invaluable.
I mean, it does allow you to skip like a large portion of the game. Like really, if you just like, especially now since you can get your Elder, you can get your Shaper orbs without doing like red maps really. So you can just get your shaped maps, get a T15, get a Zana, or do a Incubator, drop a T15 Horizon Orb, get a T16, get all your T16s, and then you don't have to do any of that sort of stuff. So it's pretty impactful, but I think it's impactful in the right way. It doesn't really bother me.
I think on the reward structure currently, I'm okay with it dropping like side content for now. I think if this keeps the way it is, I'm hoping that they just give you side content right now because they haven't fixed all the side content.
By that you mean like incursion drops and stuff?
Yes, incursion drops and scarabs and all that. And so in the current state where that's the way it is, I'm fine with it. I think down the line I'll be very sad to see like keeping this trend. I would rather have them like we could be more excited about opening a temple. Because I'm like I don't like
it devalues.
I go in there, I'm like, I can't really. It's like, oh, I'm gonna kill the boss and maybe get a helmet, but I already got 4 of them in my stash.
That's the thing. It's like if someone was like, "Oh, Tarke, I want one of those cool minus mana cost rings or the spell dodge boots you have. How do I get that?" I should be saying, "Oh, do Alva, not run the league mechanic."
Yeah.
But does it really, like, if you're in trade league, do you really feel that drop? Like, do you care that it's a drop personalized to you, or do you care that it's a drop that's valuable? Like, I don't really see a difference in the trade league. And like for SSF, making things more accessible, at least at this point.
I'm glad I have more access.
It's not like
to
you're
cool
not
items.
gonna do the temple.
Yeah, no, like I'm glad I have more access to cool items, but I think it's bullshit that if you're someone who really enjoys incursion, like I really enjoy Syndicate, if I want to engage with the Syndicate items, I should be doing Syndicate. I shouldn't be doing a different system. Wait,
I thought you didn't like that.
No, I've always loved Syndicate. I want to do Syndicate. I don't want to be doing something else.
You like unveiling the items and doing Syndicate for that?
Yeah.
I love that.
I love it. The thing that annoys me is that I can't get enough of it. So I have to have.
I would love it if it was more personalized per master, but like the random mods to pick up are kind of, I don't know. I'm not digging that too much, and that's kind of where this comes in. So
just from like a fundamental point of view, I find it dumb that it's like you don't do the league's mechanic to get the league items, because that's like, what's the point of even having it? It's like saying, oh, my favorite pizza is Domino's. Where do you get your pizza? Oh, I get my Domino's pizza from Pizza Hut. You're like, what the fuck? It just doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You'd be like,
but like, I don't know if GGG looks at it that way though. Like, I think they look at it more like this is part of the core game now, and not like a league. So when somebody new starts playing, they're not looking at like, this is the incursion items or something. They look at them as like temple items. I don't know if they want them to like separate those things. I mean, it's not like it matters. You either like it or you don't.
Okay, but let's put it this way then. If we can get all the good things in in Legion, and people generally prefer Legion, why do we need Syndicate anymore? People generally prefer Legion. If you were to poll the player base, they prefer Legion. It's a better source of Syndicate items. Why do we need Syndicate?
It's not a better source of syndicate items. What do you mean?
You'll get more veiled items spamming monoliths in like Strand than you will for like waiting for Jin to spawn.
If you're trying to get like, let's say, Elrond rings, I wouldn't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to get an Elrond craft, you can personalize it so much more. I don't think
You can just farm Elrond himself.
it's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I would agree with you, where like the random crafts that you have to like now obtain every single league, which I'm not a big fan of, because there's just still, in my opinion, too many of them. Yeah, in that case, for sure, I can see how that's a problem. But like for the personalized items, I don't know. I like it a lot more like this.
But when we're talking about incursion drops, we're not talking about. I mean, it feels nice to unlock the right room, right?
Yeah.
To where then it drops the right item.
Yeah.
But then it's already dropped like 4 times.
You like we can maybe Syndicate was a bad example, but we can definitely agree that you get the
incursion,
Temple items way fucking more from Legion than you do from Temple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I like incursion. The thing is, I really love incursion items,
Yeah.
and I really love having access to them this league. It's just it feels weird to me that everything just gets funneled into like the same thing.
Yeah.
And this other stuff is like I only do incursion temples for maps pretty much.
Well,
And
again,
then
I think it's
corruption.
I think it's due to a desire to make Legion feel very rewarding and just feel really good to run. And they can only realistically throw so many just chaos orb drops at you before the mechanic becomes problematic. So they've got to pull from some other parts of the game to get those rewards.
Sure. Okay.
I do think it just devalues the rest of the game though.
Yeah, no, I mean that's been a trend that's been going on with, let's say, league-specific items for a very long time.
It annoyed me for a really long time. I think the worst offender is Bestiary. It's like, oh, you want aspects. You want aspect items. Do I do Bestiary? Fuck no.
Oh, yeah.
Why are the aspect bosses still so rare? It makes no sense to me that they are still as fucking rare as they are. Because you get shat rares left, right, and center. That I was like, fucking have them. And then it's like,
I don't think I have any yet.
It's ridiculous. How many aspect bosses did you guys have last league, considering how much you two fucking play?
3.
I mean, I like
2 at most.
Over the whole league.
And that is ridiculous with how much you guys play.
I haven't done this league yet.
I'm trying to like compare it in my head to like a Shaper ring. I would like that for like Shaper rings, like Assassin's Mark, for instance. If you know that just like a shitty one drops, but it's got the mod. I would like that. But now I don't know. There's with 4 aspects and so many different items. It's not like if you drop a fucking crab staff, you're gonna use it. You know.
That is the point. That is the power of like getting the boss as opposed to a random drop. Is the random drop is going to also be a random rare, and most random rares in Path of Exile are garbage. But like the point about erosion, I think league-specific uniques are a good example of that. If you want to look at one that's like had more time to mature over the course of the game, because if you look at the div card, I think it drops an excavation, Time Lost Relic. That div card is a set of 10. And I leveled to 100 in that map once and put together 1 set of it, and got 1 Time Lost Relic turn in. And I don't even remember what it was. It was just garbage. And now, if you want a league specific unique, like you can get one spat at you from Delve or from Incursion or from Bestiary or from Strongholds or from Syndicate members or from Legion or probably other things I'm forgetting. And so it's been used as sort of bait for a lot of these different league mechanics to get people into it and to get them to thinking, oh man, I could maybe get a Headhunter out of this or something. It's the MSG of league mechanics. You know, GG just puts that shit on everything to make it taste better. They put it on everything to make it more rewarding. You might get a Headhunter. Please do our league mechanic.
I think it's cool when the league mechanic gives you something that is like out of the ordinary. But when it interferes with the things that are already in the game, it just that's where it kind of gets weird to me.
It's problematic because when too many league mechanics try to give you something out of the ordinary, it becomes ordinary eventually.
You know what's really worked about Legion? The stacked decks. because we get
Which
a
one?
stacked deck.
Oh yeah.
We get so much, but that's like
I have to be a world
so
leader.
shitty that it's fine. You know what I mean?
I would argue that we are at the start of the dilution of stacked deck.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You know, like if
What
that
about-
continues for another 5 leagues, and another 5 leagues from now,
True.
you're getting like 3 or 4 stacked decks from every time you do the league mechanic, or every 3rd or 4th time. It's not going to feel nearly as special. Like that's what's happened with league specific drops. We're at the start of the dilution of that. So right now it's fine. And it's just really difficult on GGG's part to continue to design mechanics that then can be thrown in and feel fresh and new and interesting. Which
Does
is
it
why
not feel
Legion feels
special?
overrewarding.
Like the Void, that still feels special every time it drops. I feel like Stacked Deck is like same version of that. And I think it also really succeeded with Talismans, for instance. It really revitalized mechanic.
Yeah.
And for me personally, Prophecy too. I fucking hate Prophecy. But when I'm doing Legion, it's one of the main reasons why I would even, do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and
So
I
there's a-
would say they, on Prophecy in particular, they did a good job with balancing the loot table.
Yeah.
Because if you look at prophecies from like Delve, they're garbage every time. You know, you get like the Plague Moss storyline
Whoa.
prophecies or something.
They're sick
like,
versus stuff.
I guess,
Yeah,
yeah.
your
I
multi-mod and
never
stuff,
I never get
isn't
any of
it?
the ones that are
Yeah.
like actually immediately useful, like Plague of Rats or a Tempest or Dreamer's Dream or something like that.
That's like useless shit. You don't want that.
What you do?
Even in
What?
solo
Right?
I mean, you
Self-Found,
would
I
like
want
one,
that.
but it's not like a
Tempest-
huge deal.
Like if I'm doing endgame maps in solo self-found, I'm hyped as heck to see Plague of Rats, because that
Rats
means I
is
might
hype,
actually
dude.
drop another
Yeah.
map.
Yeah. You
I
run
mean, it's
those, you
cool-
pop
it's
them
cool,
when you
but
go
I'm-
big. in the
to me,
maps,
it's like
in the
not a
elite maps.
goal. It's not a goal to me. It's like if it
I
drops,
guess.
it's cool. It's like anything else. But like the multi-modding stuff, like that's a
that's-
goal. That's big.
Yeah,
for, like, a unique
but-
item.
After you've got it done, you don't need it again. So what I get excited
True.
for are the things that are consumables, essentially.
Mhm.
Continually reusable. Like after I use a rats, I want another rats. Please give me more rats, sir. But after I do Plague Maw 5 once, I don't really care about seeing it again.
Yeah, but isn't that the mentality that makes something like this ordinary? Isn't that what we're trying to avoid here with
I
this
guess
conversation?
that's the problem. See, as a player, I want more rewards. Please give me more loot. But when I look at it from the lens of a designer, you have to be careful with that shit. It is inherently the player is opposed to the person designing the game in that regard.
I have
And
a really good example.
you have to give them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I just have a really good example of this. So when I was streaming yesterday, a guy was like in my chat saying, "Tarke, this is the best league I've ever played." I'm like, "Oh, great! I love it too. Why'd you like it?" It's like, "I don't get to play much, just a couple of hours after work every day. I've never had this much currency before this early into a league." And I'm like, "Well, that's wrong. Like it's good that you're excited, but you see why that's a problem." And he's like, "No." And I'm like, if you because he said himself that he's not very good at the game and he doesn't get to play that much and he's never had this much currency. I'm like, so if you've got this much currency and you say yourself that you don't know what you're doing and you're not that good at the game, then it means that once you do know what you're doing, you're then going to have too much fucking currency and then it's going to be meaningless and we're going to be in a Diablo situation where you've just loot exploded. So we need slightly less rewards. And he's like, no, I completely disagree. And I'm like, okay.
Well, he disagrees with you because like it's the same thing when I was watching like people rip at the start of the league, when they were like getting into maps and Legion was like really overpowered. I was just looking at them just like, fuck, this Legion stuff is just crazy. People are dying to like one shots left and right. And people in my chat were like, no. You don't know, like it's totally not that crazy. And then like in the meanwhile there's like 16 people in maps at the time. It's like, dude, you can't have an idea about like whether or not this is actually going to be crazy. But people were so like convinced about it. I'm sure down the line this guy like 2 weeks into the league is going to be like, oh, you know what, maybe Tarke had a good idea. I mean, he's not going to admit it.
No,
but he's going to just stop
he's gonna
playing
be at a point where he's like,
move
oh
on.
shit, I've bought all the items I want. Fuck. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that was Parandis in a nutshell to me, like where people were just had all this access to all this different shit. And it was really cool initially. And everybody was like, fucking, if you don't like Parandis, you're elitist and you just want to keep all the money to yourself and all this stuff. But yeah, then they would just quit mass. And yeah, it kind of sucked in that way.
It reminds me a little bit more about something like Legacy, though, with having like a lot of things more than it's. I feel like because I think Parandis, the problem with Parandis was that at that time uniques were so valuable, and then that was everything you were going for. There was so it just gave you your end game goal. But with crafting being more of a thing, I don't think it's as problematic this league to have a lot of currency. There's a lot of dangerous role to fight against. And we have new endgame systems as well, like Delve, that you can explore. That's something I really hope that they're going to do more with.
The argument then is that there's more of an outlet.
There's more of a
for this-
sink now
this level of
because
power.
Yeah,
I think that's a
so.
fair statement because that back then it was unique to the be all end all, whereas now it's much more like you have like these 5 exalts, 7 annuls I've had drop. That could be crafting 1 item and I might not even get it. You know, so
I also think it's okay to have variance in rewards in terms of like from league to league. I think that's okay. That some leagues feel like as if they give you more than others, so you get excited about them. And then another league you will struggle a bit, and you're like, oh shit, and then you have a problem. I don't think either is inherently like a big problem though. It's just, I mean, maybe you get angry. I don't know.
Well, with this one, I think the important part is like the risk reward to be taken into account,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of risk with Legion, so
Yeah.
it's like in a way it's fine. I also like. I don't really like the idea of like picking up every single splinter, and the same kind of is getting to a point where currency is starting to feel like that. It's like where every single little piece, like it was unheard of to filter out like chromatics out of your filter or chance in the path, and now you just filter out like all of it, right?
Yeah.
So if you want the league to be more rewarding, but you don't want to provide like other things that are available from the game and you only can reward with currency, then you're stuck picking up all this shit, and yeah, it becomes less valuable, but then I guess uniques become more valuable. Like
as
it's
chat's
a
saying,
loop-de-loop.
basically what I'm saying is if you don't play 20 hours a day, you're not allowed to pick up Chaos Orbs. That's exactly what I'm advocating for. I'm not saying we should find a middle ground. I'm saying you're not allowed loot. That's, yeah. I just feel like PoE always likes to jump from one extreme to another. And I just kind of feel like if they nerfed loot by 10% this league, people would still have a lot of fun. People would stuff like, I've got so many regals, I'm still crafting all of this gear. I just feel like they've just slightly overdone it. Because I've never had this. Go on.
Because considering synthesis, honestly, I don't know. If you would have nerfed it by like 10% or it was like 10% weaker, like that, after synthesis, I think we gotta overshoot it a little bit. Like just so nobody gets any ideas about like maybe I'm gonna make a Reddit thread about how this isn't quite right, and then everybody's like, yeah, it isn't just quite right, it's fucking wrong, and then you have like another circle jerk. So
especially on league start, first impressions were really important for this league.
Well, yeah. What about how's your guys' overall morale with like all the problems? Have you guys been running into problems with skills?
Skills?
Yeah, like
a lot
everything
of, quite
altogether.
a few skills have had weird bugs. I've had my sleep schedule is fucked, and I've had this thing the last few nights where I wake up just as a patch goes out, and I'm like, no. And I check. I literally the other day I asked Twitter like, hey guys, I just woke up. Is Reddit like how fucked? I'm like, no, go back to sleep, Tarke. All right, cheers. I went back to bed. That's felt really bad. Where it's kind of like, I'm like, yeah, I can't imagine if I was someone who was like working in the States and I've like just finished a shift. I'm like so hyped to come home and start playing. And it's like, oh, the servers are fucked. I'm like, okay.
And then you log in after they finally released the fix, and like your leap slam doesn't work, or like your main ability cancels.
I was trying to record. I tried recording a YouTube video when the servers were fucky, and I was like canceling my abilities. Like, oh shit, this is bad. Like, I was like.
A friend who's been playing Flicker Strike, and he tried to use Flicker Strike with multi-strike for a little bit on one of the earlier patches, and like every second hit on Flicker would interrupt the third one or something. Basically, he was only getting 2/3 as many hits as he should have, so the build just basically didn't work because he wasn't able to sustain frenzies with his level of investment at that rate. It's problematic. I've been lucky enough that I've been able to pretty much dodge them all. Like Lightning Trap has not had any problems, and trapping in general doesn't seem to have had many problems. I just occasionally double dash with Flame Dash. But yeah, this has been one of the buggier leagues as far as that goes. And I think it's being so we can directly compare to Synthesis again. Synthesis was fairly buggy as well, and that was bogging down a pretty poor league start, and it got really, really bad reception.
Yeah.
And you can just see the night and day difference between like a mechanic that people like with a lot of bugs as opposed to a mechanic that people absolutely despise with a lot of bugs. And yeah, people are complaining about them for sure, but mostly I've seen positive comments on Reddit about the league and all that in general. So.
I've actually been surprised that Reddit's been as good as it has been, considering like the amount they have to bitch about. Like they could bitch a lot harder than I think they are. With the stability.
It kind of really depends what you land on, though, in terms of ability. You know, if you're like somebody who's been trying to multi-strike for the last week, like you're probably bitching pretty hard. But then if you're just playing Cyclone or Essence Drain, you know, you had those couple hours where Leap Slam and Essence Drain was canceling and all this sort of stuff. But like, you just didn't land on that. You're really not going to feel it. You know, people don't really play that many builds over the course of a week or something.
What was really funny, so as Octavian was saying, so when I was playing my Lightning Trap, was when Alk was going through his fuck this animation cancelling bullshit. And I'm like, dude, this league feels perfect. I've had no lag. I've had no issues. Let's see what Reddit's doing. And I was like, I had no issues. And I'm like, oh, for Alk clip, this will be fun. He's going to make like EQ jug. Like, what's he going to say? He's like, fuck this game. This is the worst thing they've ever done. And it was like, oh shit, you know.
Well, he wasn't like, he was talking about how like,
oh no,
the problem
like, well, the clip
from...
I was watching was like, I fucking hate animation cancelling. This is like the worst thing they've ever done. They should just disable it.
Yeah, but I didn't get the impression. I think we watched the same thing, but I didn't get the impression that he hates animation canceling. He hates animation canceling not working properly.
Yeah.
Like that's where he has a problem. But then again, I was playing sweep now, and I was fucking losing my mind because my attack speed was so slow that I would like cancel my animation. But sweep has the whole thing where it doesn't deal damage instantly, like Cyclone does when you swing once. It actually swings around. So the slower your attack speed, the longer it takes. And then if you animation cancel it, you just don't hit it. But it looks like you finished the animation and you've got 100% accuracy. I'm just sitting there fucking losing my mind. Like, what's wrong with this skill, dude?
Oh, since you mentioned accuracy, I've noticed that playing Ellie hit, something is weird with enemies not getting hit.
Ellie hit, ground slams.
Yeah.
Sweep was also doing some weird shit for me, but yeah, there's definitely something. I don't know if it's accuracy or if it's
something is
canceling
yeah.
and it finishes animation. Something just ain't right. And I've heard a bunch of people complain about a bunch of different skills.
Because it's like
Cyclone.
I was attacking and it was like sometimes having to attack like 4 times to hit a white mob, and I'm like, I've got 96% accuracy. Like maybe I should try RT. And chat was picking up on it. And when chat's picking up on stuff like that, that's rare. Because usually with that, it's kind of like you feel the feedback. But when someone is watching, and like they're like watching while playing the game themselves, and they're noticing the feedback for your character isn't right, then it's really fucking obviously wrong.
I think what they should do with introducing a mechanic like this that has these kind of because there's not something you can really foresee, right? The whole thing with sweep and when does it, because like every skill will be different. So they need to. It would be nice at least if we could have the same as we have the shift ability, right, where we always stand still. We should have something where we always start the attack, but we can cancel after, but we can never cancel before. Something like that would be nice for just. I mean, if you run into that problem every time, right, then you know I've committed and then done.
Like I hate to say it, but considering it's been a week now, they really should just have an option to like allow animation canceling. Don't allow it. Like
I don't think they can. I think fundamentally.
Yeah, I don't think they can. But like, I mean, I would imagine they would have already done it.
Yeah, I think with how
long
significantly they've reworked the engine, I don't think technically. Like, I think they would have to. I'm speaking purely out of my arse, but I think they would have to technically like fucking get back into the code to add this shit.
It's pretty rough, you know. It's pretty rough. So many people are having so many problems. But if it works really cool. And
I'm surprised it's gone as well as it has, considering they've completely changed pathfinding and how combat functions.
Like it overall?
I like it. My first reaction,
I love it when it works.
When I first logged in at level 1, I was like, holy shit, this feels so good. I was like, this feels good.
And there was a focus on making the early levels feel more impactful. And I think Jonathan, when we had him on the first like pre-Legion Baeclast, pardon me, he mentioned that in the end game it shouldn't feel, like miles different than it did before the change, but it's much more something that's going to make the early leveling and slower attack speed with these attacks feel smoother.
Yeah, but I can see how they can't like build on this and like continue to do this, because you really feel it in Act 1. You feel it a little bit. No, you feel it quite a bit in Act 2, and then Act 3 you start feeling it a lot less, and then Act 4, at least I almost didn't feel it at all outside of like certain boss fights. So I think they can definitely like keep building up from here, and that would be really cool. It's a good system. It just needs to work.
Yeah, there's also some funkiness. I don't know if you guys, the rower boss with the nests. I can't remember what map that's from. That guy is fucky. His animations are really fucky.
But that's like a lot of bosses.
Like anything with like a charge, waste pool. It like I was fighting it yesterday. My build was doing like no damage. I just got into maps and I'd like popped all the nests because you have to on like Monster Life maps. And he would charge, then like desync, and then like hit me when he was like on the other side of the screen. I did like 5 of them back to back. Arid Lake, yeah. Every single encounter, the boss was like doing weird. If you're not instantly killing it, it's going like all over the place. If you just want to stand near it, it'll like charge, stop, and it was like really janky.
I always stop that boss. I just face tank it. He's like, he starts charging, I just ran into his face so he doesn't run away. But yeah, I've been having quite a bit of desync in general.
Just about to say.
I haven't seen that in a long time, honestly, but weird. Does seem better now, though.
Yeah, I desynced a lot the first couple of days. I haven't really had much now myself.
I think overall, it's probably going to be worth the growing pains, though.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
If these bugs and stuff with the animations get sorted out and everything ends up working smoothly and as intended, it seems like the system is going to be a pretty massive improvement to the smoothness of the game. It's just hard to get it right the first go round, I guess.
Since we're talking about it, I will just read this quote that I got. So I reached out to Chris, Jonathan, and Bex a couple of days ago, just like, hey, we're doing Baeclast. Do you guys have like a comment about the patch issues? And this is what I got. So this is from Chris. Our processes for patches haven't changed. We've just been encountering issues that we were unaware of during testing. This is often due to things that don't actually occur within our office network. An example is the crash today. This was the most recent patch. Where it was related to packets over a certain size being split by routers. It took real internet routers at the ISP to cause this to occur, because our office network wasn't the same as the live internet. We are looking into how we can improve these processes to catch rare issues like that before they are deployed. It's a bit of bad luck that a few patches in a row have had issues like that. I'm not a technical dude. I don't know if that is like internet bullshit or if that's like, yeah, that's true, you know.
I'm sure it's internet bullshit. They're just like,
I think it's Farmville.
No, it makes sense. Like people often blame this sort of stuff on QA, but they've made that apparent in the past that it's just kind of impossible to test out everything, and then you run into these sort of problems. It just sucks after synthesis, you know. So yeah, but I think people are genuinely having fun, and that's what's important. So once it actually starts working, maybe it won't even be that detrimental. But maybe
for anyone watching this on YouTube, I've got a few people in chat saying they're IT or network admins, and that is true. So yeah, okay, that's a thing. Okay. That's a thing.
I do think why one of the reasons that people aren't really upset about the bugs that are going on is that they don't feel like they're getting robbed all the time. Like apart from like losing a character on hardcore, well, that aside, you don't feel like the mechanic is robbing you or anything. That's what happened in synthesis all the time. You felt like the mechanic stole something from you. Now it's like, oh, the skill just kind of sucks. It doesn't work. I can just change it, you know? So it's like you have all the options. Fuck this shit. I'll do something else, and I'll still get all the rewards.
Yeah, I'll just load another map. It's not I've lost my 11 runs that I've set up for this thing.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
like,
Said like a true Cyclone player, Noogie.
Oh god.
We didn't really talk about it that much. How do we feel about? And Nuki touched it a little bit. The fact that you just play the game. There's not this talk to an NPC, teleport to some random zone.
It's awesome.
Oh my god! Even today, I was like, I was doing some like low map, like a T5 of my new guy, and I was looking at Syndicate, trying to figure out what I'm doing, and then I started dropping HP. It was one of those balls flying in while my screen is covered with the Syndicate stuff, and dropping the mobs on top of me. It like wasn't anywhere near like on my screen. Everything was clear. I just tab out and there's Shaper mobs just wailing on me. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I can't imagine if it would be something like that again. It's like Incursion and Syndicate is enough. So I really appreciate not having to deal with something like that.
It has forced me to come to terms with just how bored I get by running the same map over and over now. And so like I set up my Atlas for a Shaper Stronghold strat this league because they buff Shaper Influence really heavily. So if you just never kill the boss in your Shaper Stronghold, you get permanent Shaper Influence in that map with no maintenance, and you just get to kill a bunch of extra mobs all the time. And that locks you into running 1 or 2 maps because you can have 2 strongholds. And because I wasn't stopping and doing synthesis stuff, and I wasn't stopping and doing temples all that often, and I don't get to delve that often, I was in the same map 80+% of the time, and I got bored of that way faster than I've gotten bored in the last few leagues. And like, that's not a slant against the current league mechanic. It just made me realize, oh, I probably need to have a more varied mapping strategy than this, because I don't know. I've played so much of the Endgame of Path of Exile at this point, so much of running the same Elder map over and over again. I just can't do that by itself anymore. Over the course of synthesis, I guess I've lost the ability to be entertained by that one map for 8 hours a day, every day.
I'm really curious to see how long that lasts for me, because I'm setting up Strand, because I've purposely like, okay, what's the shortest? People like Strand, or the fuck do you Strand? People are doing lots of like low tier like white maps because monoliths are the most rewarding thing in the game. So you want the fastest monolith with the most open layout. So it's like Strand, Dunes, City Square, like the main like go-to ones. Like you know, like you're making faces. You're like, you know, TN. TH. Yeah. He's doing Strand. That's his whole thing. He's like Strand. Those people are doing it. It's legit. It's a good map for it. It's just monolith is so rewarding that if you're doing it, it's like amazing. And I've always found beach a weird layout. I've never liked beach as a layout because you have to do like a weird backtrack on yourself and you lose mobs on the side. I've always much preferred Strand to that.
City Square is the future.
City Square is amazing. The only reason I don't want to do City Square is I did so much City Square in the past. I felt like I'd set it up and get bored of it instantly. And I was like, the last time I did Strand was when Strand was the meta. So I was like, I'm curious to see how long I can keep this in my system. But,
if you're taking the time to set up a stronghold as well, City Square is a little risky because the boss is out in the open. So you might accidentally kill the boss. Yeah, especially if the Legion spawns closer to the middle of the map.
Yeah,
and you want
I'm playing like
Legion
LE hit as well. Like Mirage Archer or Attack Speed will just like tap it, and I'm like, fuck. So.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah.
Generally, how long did that take you, Octavian, to set it up?
I've set up 2 strongholds. The first one I got unlucky took about 4 hours. The second one took like 40 minutes.
Whew.
So I think I got really unlucky on the first and really lucky on the second one.
How many maps did you run to set that up, you think?
I don't know. Quite a lot, but I wasn't actually running them all. You know, I was just rushing to the boss, killing it, and leaving.
Yeah.
So probably I wasn't really keeping track. But what happened was I wanted to get it on a map in the top left of the Atlas, and Elder would not spawn there. So eventually I just said, screw it. I took an Elder spawn in the bottom left and pulled it up to the top left. So that made it take a bunch longer too. So yeah, as I said, I got pretty unlucky on that first stronghold. But the second stronghold, the influence spawned literally right where I wanted it. And then I ran like 5 maps and it spawned. So
perfect.
For anyone who wants to know how to do that, Octavian has a wonderful guide on his YouTube channel, worth watching.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and like the pros and cons are Pros, it takes no maintenance whatsoever, unlike Elder Ping Pong, which can break. A stronghold cannot break so long as you don't screw up and kill the boss. It will be there forever unless GGG changes the rules. Cons, you don't get to kill the boss, so you lose out on some minor loot there. And you don't get Shaper or Elder touched items because those only drop from the boss in a stronghold, not from the monsters. So I think if you're going for like maximum efficiency of currency and you're okay with having some maintenance to do, Elder Ping Pong might still be more worthwhile because you occasionally get a good Elder Shaper base that's worth a bunch and you get to kill the bosses. But if you don't want that headache, but you do want extra loot and you're okay with taking an afternoon to set it up, a stronghold is really, really nice.
You guys like the balls? The Shaper balls with the little dudes coming out?
They're pretty fun.
spooked me the first time. I wasn't expecting it.
They're all I've gotten, because interesting thing about strongholds, and I'm like 99% sure about this, until you kill the, like, since when you spawn a stronghold, it gets one Shaper behavior. Like, it gets either orbs, or it gets golems, or it gets like the guys with the anchors for hands that spawn portals. And then unless you kill the boss, it's not going to reset. Every time I've run my stronghold, it gets the same Shaper behavior. My current one is Shaper showing up throwing orbs, and the orbs with dudes in them. And that's all I get every single time, no matter what. It never changes. So I think you could theoretically keep re-rolling your stronghold until you get exactly what you want, and then you only run with that. But I don't know if that's worth it.
So what
I'd
you're
be pretty
saying is you need to
That doesn't
test
drive
to
you
see
crazy?
which one is the most profitable, and then you need to min-max to make sure you only get the most profitable one.
Either that or strongholds only ever have the floating orbs with dudes in them. But I'm pretty sure I've seen strongholds that spawn with the little golems, like the little mechanical golems, or that spawn with the big mini boss. And I've never seen those while running my current stronghold in like 100+ maps. So pretty sure it just snapshots one effective influence, and until you reset your stronghold and make a new one, it's not going to give you any others.
Since we're talking about
great
like,
and awful.
yeah, since we're talking about layouts and stuff, what do you guys feel about indoor layouts this league?
They're fine.
I've been running a bunch of them.
Do you not find it annoying that you get way less Legion mobs? Like you get you get the same amount of currency mobs. It seems they favor those. But then you're missing like 50% of everything else.
It's detrimental to Legion for sure, and I think enough so that I probably wouldn't recommend it. But I did Elder Excavation because it seemed like the best map that had the new Sulfite div card, and I wanted to try and farm for that and see what its drop rate was like. Not very good. Does not drop very often. And the waiting gives you a rusted almost every time. So wouldn't recommend. And I'm probably going to be switching off soon. But yeah, it's a lot more fun in an open map, even if the rewards are the same, because you get to fight more things. So like even if they balance it so you get more currency boxes and more incubator boxes and stuff in an indoor layout, and they're more clustered close together so you can more often break them free, it just isn't as fun as doing it in something like Dunes or Beach, where you get to see the full extent of the fight every time you pop it open.
Well, you fucking die in indoor maps, so that's not fun. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, also not fun.
Yeah.
I've seen
They
a
just
few
murder you.
nice spears
I don't
into
know.
wall videos.
I don't take that much damage from them, from my experience.
I took a lot of damage.
I saw that one.
I was like with
Brutal.
Immortal Call Up and Flash and like freaking 10k HP and just get popped by one dude.
I was really surprised you took that much though. Still,
I've
never taken like I run straight into them all the time, and I'm like.
Well, the
I've
thing
never
is,
had
like
them
the
dent me
spear
that way.
dudes, they either like they have some weird thing when they off screen you or
Yeah.
something. I thought I was just making up shit when I ripped because I was salty, but like that also happened with Isla where they like charge up when they see you through a wall or something, or maybe they charge
I've
up trying to
been
hit something
off-screened
else, and
by
then
it.
yeah.
I've been legit off-screened. This was so why I went off my lightning trapper, because it was kind of like, it's softcore, it's fine, who gives a shit, but I had like 5.5k life, like 500 energy shield, and I was like, bruh, I was getting 360 no-scoped. Like, I was pushing into like tier 13s and 14s, and I was like just coming out of a corner, I was like, pew, and I'm like, okay, fuck this. And then two maps later, I'd get like killed before the cloud would even spawn, and it was like, it felt like I was just against like a fucking MLG championship team or something. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm making you build. This is too.
You know what the fucking worst part about indoor maps is? Opening doors now. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's
Please.
so hard to
Please
open
fix
doors.
this.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought I was just like way worse at the game for the first couple days.
Same.
Like
No.
I can't click chance or
yeah.
It was really bad for
tiny-
me because I took like a month off PoE. I took a massive break to play like Borderlands and other games. So I just thought, dude, I am so fucking rusty. I haven't played PoE in such a long time. I'm like clicking like mad, like trying to get everything. So,
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like running through the early acts, just freaking out when the league started. People were like, dude, you're being fucking ridiculous. Don't be such a baby. The doors are the same. And then they got there too. Like, oh shit.
No.
This thing's awful, man.
Terrible.
Mm.
This league has got
Yeah.
me thinking of all just with like clicking things in general PoE. I think it's fine that we need to click a lot and we need to make decision on what we pick and what we open and all that. But I really wish they would make it just, whenever you do decide, that you make it easier to do so. One of the things that really annoy me, it's been a pet peeve of mine for a while, is like how small the pickup radius is. Right? You make these like starter steps and things always, with the amount of loot that drops nowadays, everything gets offset.
Yes.
So you click something and then your character goes like, I want to be over there now. It's like,
It could be helped somewhat by having things, because they've already done this in some places, like in Delve or against certain enemies in Legion, just having things stack if multiple of the same type of loot drop.
The
next to one another.
inconsistency of that annoys me
Yeah.
to no end, though.
Like sometimes in Delve, you'll get a stack of 8 jewelers or 4 chromes or something, and then if you go and run lab, then out of the currency box, all the jewelers and chromes will be individually dropped. Yeah, it's
Fucking
a
stack
shift
of
in design.
stack of 20 wisdom scrolls. Fuck yeah. And then it's like, just and then one of those like, oh.
Well, Carve is pointing it out, but console looting is pretty
Console looting
OP.
is better than PoE in PC.
The radius is good, and you click. Yeah, you just like you don't even stop really. You just like run over an item. You click a button, and it just
Yeah,
loots it. Like,
feels
and
good.
it's got a really pretty good proximity to it, also.
nice.
So
Feels really.
The
really
proximity
quick.
is everything.
Yeah.
yeah, it feels good. It feels good, and I mean, it's a good. It would be a good balance change for melee, because it really needs the boost now. You don't have to move around as much with melee being so weak and all. Yeah.
So what you're
That's
saying is
terrible.
we need to buff Cyclone so it has a support gem that just sucks up all the loot.
Dude, I can still
Ooh.
see my cyclone. It's not large enough.
Look, he's just sitting here.
It's only constrained to my game. I want to be cycloning things in other people's maps too.
The cyclone is so huge. It's like that illusion, when I'm playing it, there's that illusion where you look at a certain point and it's like a yellow color or something, and then you look at the wall and it's still yellow. That's how I feel about cyclone. Wherever I like look away from it, I can still see the fucking circle. It's ridiculous, dude.
I just thought of okay, Octavian, you're about to get hype. So you know how siphoning trap is kind of cool but kind of shitty? Vacuum trap. You throw a trap, it like implodes, sucks all the loot. Oh, that'd be sick.
What? Would you need an enemy there to trigger it?
No, fuck it, just throw it, dude. Sunblast belt, let's go.
No,
Okay.
you can do it better. You know how old the Vol lightning warp worked, where it would like scatter mobs.
Oh, I miss old
You
lightning
did that-
warp.
Yeah, you
Vol
did that
lightning
with
warp.
loot. for
Why
people,
did it
like-
have to die? They killed
Yeah,
it
I
off
don't
in
know.
Delve, right?
Yeah, they changed it. It was really weird.
Like
I mean,
it
it's
went
not like
away
it
with
was
Vol
useful.
Immortal Call, and with Vol Immortal Call that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that they've been chipping away at like immunity strategies in the last few leagues in general. But what did Vol Lightning Warp do?
No.
I felt bad for Lightning Warp in general. Like it's been, Lightning Warp's always been shit, and they're like, "Yo, instant movement skills, not Lightning Warp." It's like instant, not you, Lightning Warp. Get back on the bus,
Yeah. I feel bad for lightning warp.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, there's some poor fucker who's like, it's his favorite build, and he's like, every league, and then he was like, he hears Jonathan say on Baeclast, like, it's gonna be instant. He's like planning it out. Then he goes to
thing is
press the
people-
button, and he's like,
People were making pretty nutty like lightning warp builds where they were doing a lot of damage, and you could do it with ignites and stuff. I don't know. Lightning warp is scary, dude. Maybe they know like there's a build out there that GGG
It's
knows
too
about.
strong.
It's too good.
It's too strong,
man.
and we just don't know it.
So that's your
Like,
next build.
that must
Raiz, your
happen a
next
lot,
build is
though.
Lightning Warp, right? Yeah.
What you can
I've
do it
played
with
like
traps.
builds in the past.
It sort
No,
of
your
works with
next
traps.
build. Your next build is Lightning Warp.
Yeah, maybe. I used to play a lot of Lightning Warp mines back when it targeted things. So you put down a mine and then it would target, like automatically target. That was back when we didn't have a whole lot of skills just automatically doing that. Like that must happen a lot though. I think Chris did talk about that at some point where sometimes there are just things that are just incredibly powerful that the players haven't discovered yet. And the player base is just like, this is fucking stupid. It's so weak, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, they can't tell him, like, just get good, right? But they also don't want to change it. That must be really frustrating.
I mean, a lot of it is just like people just don't want to try it. It's like the whole like everyone's like, "Oh, Tarke, you have to play Viper Strike." I'm like, I don't want to play it, man. Fuck that. But like, to be fair, Mathel's playing it. It looks pretty good, you know. And it's because he can be fucked to play it. So you know, I'm sure there's a few skills out there. It's like if you can be fucked to make yourself play it, you can make it be good. You know.
Yeah. I've been playing Static Strike. Pretty good. Actually,
my friend
like,
is playing that.
more.
And you're doing Shockwave on it, and it's like OP.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not doing Shockwave. I'm doing Chain.
Oh, you're not
It's
doing
pretty,
both?
You can do
no,
both.
I don't think you need it. It's pretty crazy.
You should try it. I want you to see. I want to see it.
It's so hype with Shockwave. He was telling me it was amazing. I was like, I don't believe it. He sent me a video, and it's like Winter Orb. It's insane.
Yeah, but he probably like the problem with that is that you can't use Pulverize. So scaling the AoE is pretty tough because I'm already on a Slayer. So I can't see how you would. I mean, you can use Pulverize and then you can use the Shockwave, but then you have to use an axe or a mace or something. I think it's only. No, I think it's mace and staff.
Shockwave is
that you
mace and
roll
staff,
for
yeah.
Shockwave, yeah.
Yeah.
So then you're kind of limiting your weapon choice. I don't know. It was interesting though because well, I mean you hit pretty frequently. It's like every 0.2 of a second you hit 18 targets. And it's a pretty large AOE, dude. But if freaking Pulverize would work with it, oh, it would be so sick. But it does increase the AOE. It lowers the attack speed, but it's area damage, melee area damage, and so it doesn't. But that kind of makes the sand and something free, so I don't know, that's kind of cool too. But I played Sweep and I like Static Strike more. I played Inferno Blow. I like it a lot, but I think you got to dual wield for that. Then it feels even better. Yeah, I traded like a bunch of different melee skills. Static Strike felt cool. Can officially recommend. Yeah.
What do we feel about the whole like melee meta and ascendancies and all that bullshit? Yeah.
I like it in general.
Yeah, I like it except two-handers. I think two-handers are still fucked.
I think there's some good skills out there for two-handers though.
I mean, it's like Sweep,
I did the Blade Storm.
Strike.
It was really good with a two-hander because you never want to swing twice with Blade Storm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Blade Storm and Earthquake like that. Yeah, but even with Earthquake, you do so much damage.
Earthquake is a one-hander, I would say, because it has so much flat damage. You can just do that on one-hander. But Blade Storm, because you only have 3, of the storms afterwards.
Yeah.
If you ever swing twice, you lose that one behind you.
That makes sense.
Right.
So you always want to just like place like 3, like just kind of leapfrogging and always have like 3 behind you, like kind of like sweeping around.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I need to try that. I haven't tried that one. I'm like,
really
I got a 200
skill,
weapon
actually.
with like 500 DPS now. I like invested into it. Like, all my currency, I finally got like a weapon. So I'm like just trying everything that I can think of two-handers. So yeah, except freaking, what's that? The new skill. I'm not gonna try that shit. Yeah.
That
shit
looks so
fucking
shit. I don't know, man.
It looks so shit.
Nice.
I mean, I don't even care if it's good. It just looks like garbage.
Oh.
Maybe it is good. Maybe it's fantastic. I just can't.
It looks pretty mud to me. I haven't played it personally, but I very briefly did some Uberlab boosts in my league because I was trying to get the crit enchant for my trapper. And I had a berserker dude. He's even called like Perforate XD was his name. And he's like, "Oh, do you mind boosting?" I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. And I was watching him hit 1 or 2 rares while we were going through the lab. I'm like, oof. Just as an animation, it just looks shitty. I don't know.
It's not melee, but Spectral Shield Throw is like good now.
I'll piss off Octavian.
Is it
It
good?
actually is, though. Have you seen it? with the new chain.
I've seen
Like
the duel.
it still has a tiny hitbox, and that is still a problem.
Yeah.
Like it feels not very good in pure single target situations because the hitbox of the shield is minuscule. But while clearing, you're gonna hit something when you throw it, and then the jewel takes over and it chains all over the place and everything dies. It's actually like quite good now.
I did like the debate because like people were releasing videos like they changed the thing, and then right before the league they announced the threshold jewel. It's like, oh, it's actually good now. So it's good to hear that
it is kind of like really super synergistic with Deadeye to the point where you feel kind of shoehorned into playing it that way. Not that it's impossible to play like Zerker or something, but like if you're going for the jewel, the chain synergy with Deadeye is really good. So like it feels like at least from my perspective, looking into Path of Buildings, trying to build one, I feel like I'm not picking Deadeye. Why am I not picking Deadeye? I should just go Deadeye. But it's got a viable, quite strong build for the end game, and that's more than it had before, so I'm happy. Also, all the like I've actually seen most people still converting it over to Ellie and gaining as extra with Ellie, which does make some sense with the large amount of flat fizz you can get out of a good rolled shield. But there is like legitimacy to pure fizz nowadays as well, and it does sidestep the problem that shield throwers always had with pen. Because attacks with weapons penetrate X amount of resistance doesn't work with it, which is really annoying because there's a wheel on the bottom right of the tree specifically for attacks with shields, and it says attacks with weapons penetrate 4% or 5% res. Like everything else has to do with shields, but no, the pen can't give that to shield throw. That'd be too strong. Keep that back. But it's still good. It's good. It's got a few lingering problems. I wouldn't give it like a 10 out of 10 rating. But it's a solid 7 out of 10 now. Like it's a fine skill if you want to play it. You don't feel bad for choosing it.
Have you seen Mathel's Viper Strike, Octavian?
Not yet, no.
Oh, okay. Because I'm watching it right now. I was wondering how you would compare it. Because like I'm watching the way he plays it, and I mean it's Viper Strike and Melee Splash. I feel like people could have been doing this with like any skill for forever now.
It's nothing like special,
It's
but
nothing new.
it's better than I thought it would be. You know.
I mean, I can send you an Uber Elder Spectre Shield Throw Deadeye
cool.
video if you want.
Yes.
If you're interested.
Well,
and the gear is good, but not entirely unreasonable. It's in Trade League after like a week, so the guy doesn't have like standard level gear or anything. He's got like a Delve ring with Frostbite on hit, and he's actually got like almost 7k life on a Deadeye, which is quite impressive, given the gear in the tree. I'm gonna put it in the Twitch chat too, so that other people can see the glory.
Yeah, this is some big juicy stuff.
It is big boy deeps.
I think
Jesus Christ. do you have to drop the jewel, or can you get it from the reward?
The jewel I think is drop only. Yeah, I don't think it comes from the Act 5 quest.
Gotta find that shit. Looks pretty neat.
That's true. Someone in chat pointed out that dude does have a now unobtainable shield because there was a bug before where you could craft quality onto a shield that already had a 10% quality roll from the dense fossil, but you can still reach like 90% of that DPS without that.
Hang on, I think
90% should be enough.
I think the stream has died.
Oh no!
I'm not lagging at all, am I? On voice?
No.
I think we're back
the Twitch
now.
server. Just
Twitch has been really shitty recently. I think it's okay.
Oh, it's just dropping frames, but it's still working.
Okay, cool.
I see it.
Yeah, we're fine.
But yeah, the shield is not that specific shield is not obtainable now, but you can still get like you can tell from the video the man is doing more damage than he needs to by a good measure. You can get 90%, 85% that damage without that shield and still have enough damage to do everything in the game.
How much is the shield?
My point isn't that like Spectral Shield Throw is OP now. My point is that it's a fine skill that can do everything.
I mean, the quality is barely anything anyways.
Yeah, it's an extra 10% quality.
Yeah.
Like it's not make or break build. It's a nice benefit.
It's like a couple percentage extra damage. That's it.
Yep. No, Spectral Shield Throw is perfectly fine now.
Yeah, it's good.
It's insane. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's hard to get a shield like this either. I mean, 3,000 or like 2,500. Like,
caveat. Watching that video, you'll probably see he runs out of mana a few times, and that's because the hitbox on Spectral Shield Throw is tiny, so it's really hard to actually land it, particularly on Uber Elder with Shaper teleporting everywhere. Have you guys done Uber Elder yet? You're mostly in solo self-found and stuff, right? That wouldn't be on your priority list.
Oh, I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. So
In this league,
we don't know
or-
if it's a bug or not, because I don't think
Oh.
GGG has said anything on it. But the Uber Elder fight is markedly different now. Shaper will do an ability and then teleport, and then an ability and then teleport. He does not sit in one place and use multiple abilities anymore, unless you're like right next to him, and then he might attack you a few times before moving. So it's way, way harder for builds that are melee, actually, specifically, and have to be next to him to deal damage because he's constantly running away from you.
Huh.
Is the teleport location random?
No, it's the same 4 spots.
Oh, okay.
It's random within those 4, I guess, but it's the same 4 spots where he would teleport to before. It's just he's on like, you know, he's got like ADHD or something. He's jumping all over the place and just really, really hard to keep up with. And for like a range build, like if you're doing it with Ellie hit, or even if you're doing it like I've been doing with Lightning Trap or something, it's not as big a problem because I can hit him when he's in the top left or the bottom right corner, standing from the middle. It doesn't matter. But if you're trying to do this with like Dual Strike or Viper Strike or some like, you know, melee range single target oriented skill, good luck.
I was going to mention this earlier about the whole Legion thing. How do you feel about this league with the melee like rework? It seems a bit of a weird combination, but it's just so much better on.
Oh, the Legion mechanic, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Legion mechanic is extremely rewarding, even if you only do like 70% of it in every map you get it in. And a well-built melee build can probably achieve that.
You get everything,
like especially in an open map. Yeah. So I don't think it's like a huge problem, but it still feels bad, I imagine, for a lot of people who maybe don't have the most optimized build as well and are only able to get that 70%. They feel like they're missing out on something every map, even though if you compared it to an earlier mechanic like Breach or something, you're getting similar rewards, even only doing that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't that cool though? I like that.
I mean, there's
like
I don't think everyone does.
But you have more control over it.
It's cool, but it just seems a bit weird that when it's like you're trying to put a massive push on melee, that you're like, this is the league, you know.
Oh, like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
I
Hey,
mean, I
just
think-
play Static Strike with Chain. Shit's crazy. Don't need no Shockwave. Chain's everywhere.
I think GGG intentionally designed it so that you wouldn't be killing off all of it. You know, for the most part, your average player wouldn't be getting it fully cleared.
But then
Like,
that's
didn't they
then
make
a
that
problem
fairly
then
clear in their
because you
release?
have Essence Ring Contagion,
Yeah.
Tornado Shots, Ellie Hits, Scourge Arrows. Like,
I don't think
I mean-
Tornado Shot early on is getting everything out. It just doesn't do enough damage if you don't have really good gear. I think Melee and Tornado Shot are very comparable early on.
I mean, sure, but you don't level with Tornado Shot. Most people start with
Different
Rain of
ceilings,
Arrows or
though.
Scourge Arrow. But...
Well, Tornado Shot
I
does
mean-
have the Tornado Shot's kind of fucked now. Like a lot of skills with the auto targeting. I heard people really complain about that a lot. I was complaining about that with Flame Blast because the cursor, it's not just locked to melee, the auto targeting. So if you're trying to like aim into the middle of the pack, it will aim on top of a mob. So with Tornado Shot, if you're trying to aim right behind the mob, it will auto target the mob. So shit like that. That's really
God.
frustrating. Yeah.
Octavian can attest to this though. Lightning Trap was such a smooth starter build for this league. Like in Act 1 and Act 2, you're full clearing. I got the achievement for killing every enemy in like Act 3.
It's smoothest league starter I've ever done.
Yeah, so good.
Like no joke. Lightning Trap is very, very solid. I am using Pierce in my links now, as well as the Pierce enchant on my helmet, just to get like, you
Even
know,
more. I was
honestly,
doing that as
probably overkill level of coverage, but just to like guarantee I'm clearing all the Legion encounters because I have the damage, so I can afford to throw Pierce in. Can we briefly touch on the Timeless Jewels?
Yes.
Since we're talking about
Do it.
Legion as a whole. They are really, really interesting. For anyone who hasn't dug into them, briefly how they work is they have a number and they have a name. The name determines what keystone you get if you put the Timeless Jewel near a keystone. So that's pretty straightforward. Like if you want a Supreme Ego, you go for a Chittus Jewel, a Chittus Elegant Hubris. So you know when you're buying it, this says Chittus on it, it's going to give me Supreme Ego every time. But the number determines what the notables turn into. And for some of them, like what the small passives will give you if you're doing a Templar one and you're stacking Devotion, for instance. And at this point, it's getting a little complicated. But so I have been testing a bunch of different Chittus jewels, partially with the help of Grimro, who's been farming a bunch of them. and they are really, really, really difficult to buy and be sure that what you're getting is going to actually be useful. And you can't even get one and just divine it until it's useful, because you might divine off of the keystone that you need if that's relevant. So my advice to people looking to get a good one is, I don't even know if I have good advice.
I have a piece of advice.
Okay, so I didn't really finish my explanation of how they work.
Okay.
The small notables are going to give you various different random rolls based on which kind of jewel you are. I'm using an Elegant Hubris, so I can get things like 10% max life, chance to gain an endurance charge one hit, 50% cold res, 20% shock duration. Some of these are better than others, you may have noticed. So what you're looking for is a jewel that rolls the exact right seed numbers, so that when you put it in the exact right spot on your tree, in that spot on your tree, it gives you good nodes. And I've managed to find a couple that, one of them gives me 80% crit and 10% spell dodge. One of them gives me 20% max life, various different effects like that. But half of them just give me garbage. And that's what makes it really difficult to actually buy one that you know is going to be good, because until you put it in that spot on your tree, you don't know what the corresponding number on the jewel is going to actually do to your tree. And so you don't know if you're buying one that's going to give you 50% cold res and 20% shock duration, or one that's going to give you 40% crit multi and 8% spell dodge.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Niggy?
Spy wall wins at 3 chaos pop. Generate divines and just start divining. Yeah, baby.
The problem with divining is you might divine off of
Hey, buy a cheap one.
the keystone.
Yeah.
A useless? Well,
keep in mind how many...
The cheapest hubris that I was able to buy.
You said it yourself.
It is gambling. It's just something that is an investment that you can eventually make in your build, but I hope people realize that it's not something that you should be treating as a core item. But the problem with that is that these keystones are build enabling.
Yeah.
So you want the jewel for the keystone to make your niche build, and now you're up against the fact that you need to buy one that's does other useful stuff to your tree too, hopefully.
I feel like about it too much. The keystone is not as important as the actual rolls and the notables.
Ones that are generically pretty cheap and also usually good, though, and can work in a lot of builds, I would recommend are Karui ones, because Karui ones don't actually re-roll the nodes in your tree, they just add a little bit extra. So you're still going to be getting whatever benefit those passives would give you. So if you're near a life cluster, you're still getting the 12% life or whatever you'd get out of that. And then on top of that, you're also maybe getting, 5% of physical damage taken as fire or something like that. You can get some powerful effects. So even if you have a bad Karui jewel, at the very worst, it's slightly better than just having those points in your tree anyway. So sort of the starter jewel for the discerning purchaser who doesn't want to spend a lot on one of these jewels but still wants to use it would be a Karui one. And you don't need to put it near a keystone. You can put it somewhere not near a keystone so it doesn't convert one of your keystones.
I have a kind of funny story about these. So in my league, there's a friend of mine called Eldo. He won't be watch this. He's a dickhead. He's one of those players who he's when you play WoW, the toxic rogue telling you how to play your class. He's that guy, but he also never watches anything. So when we had Jonathan and Chris on explaining the league, he didn't watch it, even though he knows me personally. He's like, fuck that shit. He doesn't know how anything works. He had a jewel drop from him, and he's like, this is dog shit, doesn't do anything. And then he threw a couple of divines. He's like, no, this is a piece of shit. Here, you can have it, and he gave it to me. And then someone on Reddit posted one of those compilations of what the jewel does. He's like, dude, I need my jewel back. It's really good. And I'm like, okay, I gave it back to him. He threw 10 more divines into it, and I think now he's using it. But he's it's just kind of funny, oh, shit item doesn't work, and it's okay. Well, no, give it. It's good.
If you do need to farm divines, though, the Volwyn's prophecy is also quite cheap, and you can farm them with that, at least in Trade League. Is that what you mentioned earlier, Nuki, or was it a div card set?
That's what I said.
That is what you said?
Okay.
I thought I misheard you. I thought you had said one of the new div card sets.
Taking your tip and then applying it to what you just said.
I just need to listen to Nuki more. It's good advice in general.
I heard you. Since we touched around it a little bit, I'm just going to kind of ask. So, of the new Ascendancies though that we've played, what have been our favorite ones? Just because I get asked that question a lot.
I mean,
I don't get to answer this one. I've only played the one build so far.
it's hard.
Honestly, the thing is, I haven't had a. I played Trick. Oh no, actually, I have had a disappointment. It was Trickster. I actually don't really like the new Trickster all that much. It's really frustrating with the ghost routes. And I played Trickster, so that's that. I played Inquisitor. I liked Inquisitor a lot. In general, I feel like there's not much like it's not the sort of ascendancy that I would like to see buffed because I don't think it's underwhelming. It's just not. It's not surrounded by things that give it a like
It's not
enough
exciting.
meta power right now. Yeah, it's not really that exciting, but it's really good. And then I fucking love Gladiator with the 20%
Yeah.
more. Oh my god.
Mm.
I love Gladiator. And then Slayer that I'm playing now, dude, Slayer's so good. Like, it's so much fun. They really did a good job. And like I haven't even tried the most fun one, which apparently is Berserker, but I have tried out like Rage and Berserk, and it feels super rewarding and fun. So yeah. I've been also messing around with Impales and all this stuff, and yeah, I've really enjoyed everything.
Has one of you guys played Berserker yet?
I'm playing it at the moment.
Have you used Rage support? I'm curious as to whether the Berserker Rage gen and Rage support gen are both on different internal cooldowns.
So I'm playing Ellie Hit.
Okay.
So the Rage support doesn't do anything for my build. But there's apparently something that, you know Milky Slice, the RF guy? He's doing Doomflet shenanigans. And it's like some skills like Frenzy but have both the melee and the projectile tag. And you can use the Rage support gem and you'll still gain like the extra physical damage using Frenzy as a bow skill because of the melee tag. And like weird
Oh,
shit.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But people in chat are saying it definitely stacks. Yeah.
It stacks.
It's pretty OP, honestly. Like you can have like a 10, 11 second berserk very easily with something like that if you're just clearing a map. And then you get it back up in like 10 seconds again. It's like half the math. You're just like super turbo boy. It's pretty good.
How do you like Berserk? I haven't tried it much. I feel like
And
it's so important to have like max stacks.
I'm
On Rage,
shocked
with
you're
Rage?
not using it.
Nah,
Honestly,
because it
if you're
feels
playing
so
Slayer,
shit if it ever goes down to 0.
I
It's
know.
like whenever
Ugh.
I can just one tap packs whenever I have max rage. So I'm like, why would I ever give that up?
I know what Noogie means. It's like, so I'm using it every now and again, but it's like if I ever misjudge it on like a boss, like I press it and the boss is still alive after, I'm like, oh, my build feels shit now for the last like
Ugh.
little bit of health.
I feel like with Cyclone you always do enough. So whenever you pop it, it's like, I don't know. To me, it felt like Noogie's playing like the super AOE thing, but since I was playing Glad and I was stacking movement speed and all this sort of stuff with this, whenever I popped it, it felt like I would clear like half the map in those 10 seconds. So it felt really good. I liked it a lot. And then the damage
use
boost
it.
is
It's
cool
just
too.
I always pop it kind of like after I need it, if that makes sense. Because again, it's like I'm a bow build, so it's like if I don't want to lose that 30% movement speed, so it's kind of like I'll pop it on the last half of a boss, and I use it kind of like at the last minute always, because I just don't want to drop my stacks.
No, I can see that. Like I definitely had the same approach with like a lot of things in the past, like Volt Grace especially, are so strong, but I didn't want to use it because it's like it didn't make sense. So I can totally see
I'm
that.
probably being overly
I'm
conservative,
digging
and
in a
again,
lot.
I've only like just started mapping on that character, so I'm probably just like being too keen or like too whatever. But
Can you maintain Berserk by just generating more range while it's up?
no,
Somewhat. It keeps
increasingly
going
Yeah,
up.
the rate of decay increases, but yeah,
it
you're
goes
not
up,
like
okay.
locked from generating new rage.
Yeah, but it's like 10 or something % every second. Like you can get it on a pretty. I mean, it's like
how long can you maintain Berserk? Like, realistically,
it depends on
like
how much
8
your
to 10
build
seconds.
attacks and stuff.
Well, if we assume that you've got the max, and then you're getting one charge every 0.3 and one charge every
But
0.4,
twice,
I think you
once
can
on
get it to
Berserker,
like
once on the gem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Once on Berserker and once on the Rage gem. Yeah, I mean you can definitely get it up to like 12 seconds for sure.
Doesn't
just
chain hook
That's pretty good.
generate 1 rage by itself as well. Can you
does.
use that like just main
OP.
skill single target as well? I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Just try and
Maybe.
get Berserk to last as long as possible.
Maybe attack fast enough.
I haven't tried the new chain. Haven't heard too many good things about it though.
I've heard some people say it's nice for leveling, and that's kind of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is there an internal
Well-
cooldown on chain for their generation?
I would imagine so. Chain hook. I don't even know. In the videos that we saw, people were just spamming it like it's a regular attack ability.
Mm.
Well, not a cooldown on
Oh,
using the attack, but a
Apparently,
cooldown on
max
the
is
gen.
12 seconds on Berserk, by the way.
Um,
Do we think about this? If they actually, because if there's no,
just says
See-
each hit with the skill generates rage.
yeah. So let's say you have like Soul Leader and you're attacking like 50 times a second, and you chain hook. And just think about it, dude. And then you Berserk again, and you're
I
like
mean-
Berserk, and then chain hook.
There
So,
may
yeah.
be a hidden internal cooldown. That's certainly not
No.
beyond the realm of possibility with Path of Exile. But yeah, it doesn't list one.
Wait, what? This thing has Shockwave has +1 radius per 5 rage?
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
up to 10 or something.
Wait, this thing's fucking crazy. What?
Yeah.
I think what we
That's
need...
like the whole screen.
We need a Grimro's next video to be the exact same setup, but support Headhunter chain hook build. 5 keys. Just going for it.
And I have to try it out. People are saying it's bad. We're gonna make it work. Then
I've
again, that's
tried it.
kind
The skill itself kind of sucks, but I feel like if you have like 50 attack, or I don't know how many attacks, 30 attacks per second as a berserker, maybe it could be good then.
dude, you can totally get that. Like 15
Yeah, that's what I'm
attacks a
saying.
second is not unreasonable
yeah.
at all. How does it work with multi-strike?
I don't know.
It doesn't. That's a joke. Multi-strike's broken. Lol.
We kind of skipped over it though, but just going back a little bit to talk about the stones, like the timeless jewels. Grimro's convinced that Maraketh are bugged or like not dropping because he hasn't had a single one drop, and he's done 36 5-way fights.
There are 2 listed on the server last I checked. And
That
they
is-
are 40 exalts and 50 exalts,
Now,
respectively.
how many
So they're
headhunters
just-
are on the server? Like,
And they are not worth it
Yeah.
because I don't actually like the Maraketh Keystones very much, and the minor effects they give are not really much better than Karui, in my opinion.
How do you know the minor effects?
They're data mined on PoEDB.
Okay.
There's a pool of minor effects,
So do we have a
but you don't know
resource
what
right
they're
now?
going to do.
Oh.
You don't know what they're going to do in your specific jewel socket, but there's a pool of what you could get. So you can see, like, okay, so if I use a Karui, I could get from this list randomly, and then you can put it into your jewel socket and see what it does for your specific spot on the tree. Grim reached out to me and he wanted me to do a jewel testing service where I level like a level 87 Scion or something so I can hit up all the different sockets on the tree, or 92, or there was a certain level I had to reach.
yeah.
And then like he would trade me a jewel, I'd test it on the tree, and then if the person wants to buy the jewel for that spot on the tree, I'd like get a cut of the sale
Show
or
it on
something.
stream, fucking
Yeah,
hell, dude.
basically. So there's like a public
Wow.
record of like the sale before it goes off, and there's
Fuck
proof of what
me.
the jewel's gonna do. This is the kind of thing people are resorting to be able to sell these.
Octavian, I don't like cutting my own sandwiches. Can you cut them into triangles for me? And I'm gonna need video evidence that it's you personally cutting the sandwich up.
But I mean, like,
Fuck.
is it
dude.
wrong for people to want
No,
that level
it's
of
good.
of
It's just kind of funny
security
that
with
that's the
what-
levels that we're going to.
Because
Why
a
did
really
he bring
good
it
one
to
is
you?
a really good one is insane. Like you can with the hubris ones that I'm using, you can theoretically from one jewel get like 80 or 120 crit multi, 10% life, and 6 spell dodge. Like no joke, that
Have
could
you seen the
theoretically
curse
happen.
effect one that got posted
Yeah.
the other day? That was
No,
ridiculous. Yeah.
They're ridiculous. You could get a
And the
Karui
Indian
one that
damage
gives you
one.
like frenzy and endurance charge gen and fizz taken and gained as. Like, but you could also get one that just gives you 100 fire res. Here you go. You're welcome. Like the range is ridiculous. So
That's good.
you could just sell them sight unseen at 30C or 40C each. Or if you had some way of determining what they do in certain spots in the tree, then you could advertise that they do that in those spots in the tree and probably get a bunch more out of them if you have a really good one.
If there are any
I'm so shook,
aspiring
Tarke.
like YouTubers out there, this is a good niche for the league.
Oh, so actually, so the way you sell the jewels as a streamer is that you have to level up a new character with all the jewel sockets.
Yeah, you go for a sign. You get all the sockets on the tree. You have a jewel salesman build.
I think
Jewel man.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
Tarke here. I'm selling Karui 2038. As you can see from this YouTube video, bidding's gonna start at 5 exalts.
I mean, you're making fun of this shit, but
Oh,
every
no,
There might
it would
be-
work, dude. It would pop
that's
I'm-
how
up.
I'm-
Twitch used to be, dude.
Yeah, you
Before,
might be
like,
like forum
the
threads
API?
for this sort of shit.
That's
here's
what.
a
That's
screenshot
how
of
people
thinking
traded
about it.
back then. That's how people traded when Crip was doing shit. He would never like. There was no API or anything. And you had to do like auctions on the forums for like a day or two, and he would just like take a look through his stash and just do it on stream. He'd be like, "Who pays how much for this item?" People were like, 5 chaos. Okay, next. He would just like sell out his entire stash. Also, Tarke, can't believe you're so professional when it comes to Baeclast. But then at the same time, you've got this Guardians of Ember link in your chat, even though you've done it like 3 years
I've
ago.
been trying to turn that
Just-
shit off. I keep forgetting. My brain is like, oh, I need to turn that off, and then it happens again. I'm like, I need to turn that off. But yeah,
It's been like 3 weeks.
it's
dude.
been a
Come
while,
on.
dude. I need to
Turn it off.
Yeah, do it now.
Yeah.
No, do it after this.
Yeah, but for sure.
And that's why it's still there. I keep forgetting.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you.
No,
Okay.
I will do it though. But,
I'm glad we established chain hook as the new best ability in the game, though.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
For sure. It's going to be the new meta.
Hmm.
Actually, the new
Everything
meta
looks
is going to
cool.
be 95+% reduction stacking.
There's some interesting stuff you can do with Jug. There's
Like, they just removed immunity and gave it back. Lol.
one of my viewers has been really like trying to min-max a Jug build around that, using a bunch of different skills. I think experimenting with like heavy strike most recently, because the problem is just getting a skill where you can do the damage while doing that still. But yeah, you can just pick up generic reduced damage on the tree while enemy is bleeding or blinded and that sort of thing. You can get the reduced Ellie from Crystal Skin, all that, and then Jug Ascendancy with Nebulux.
I am the Jug. I got 96 reduced damage. That's pretty good.
What? With armor?
No, stacking all the shit on the tree.
I think it is like conditional to damage from hits as well, though, because some
Yeah.
of it's fortify
Yeah,
effect.
it is.
That
It
is
is.
most damage that you're taking.
Yeah. So like
Wait, you really have that much though? Have you
Oh, yeah.
like?
Yeah.
Same. I didn't think you were just like casually throwing that around. Like I can imagine like a 40 or something. But
Just from reduced
40 is
damage,
easy.
no resist, no fizz, only
Yeah, like-
AoE. Yeah.
damn,
Yeah.
that's a lot more. Guess my characters were a lot tankier than I thought. Still fucking go one shot.
We haven't actually talked about it at all. How are we feeling about the buff to rare HP?
It's fucking annoying, but I kind of like it.
It's
I like-
good.
Yeah, I think it's good for the game and everything. It every time I'm annoyed by it, I'm like, it pisses me off, but I really like it. Like long term, it's good. So, yeah, I thought I would like it a lot more though. Like I
Oh.
loved the idea, so I thought I would like it a lot more just naturally. But yeah, I guess the boss HP bothered me at first too.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was like great for the game.
Oh, I
So,
thought
yeah.
no. Because that's actually
You
something
thought-
that bothers me.
Oh,
Like the
okay.
disparity. Right? You'll have like a big rare, and then you go fight a guardian, and you're like, well, I just fought a guardian in the map.
Okay.
Like, oh no.
Okay, I can
So
see
there's
that.
a bit of like of a balance issue now, because they're like they do it in such a weird order. Like, oh, now all rares, now all bosses are now like tanks, and then everything else is meaningless. Now all the rares are tanks, and everything else is kind of like. So it's just weird in that way.
You think they're gonna buff white mobs?
I don't think they need to.
One of my few complaints with it is that it makes me really hesitant to level as anything that's not going to be strong at basically every stage of the leveling process, because I just don't look forward to leveling in the first place. Generally, it's my least favorite part of the game, and then on top of that, having rare monsters have a bunch of extra HP. They did scale the monster health, so it's not 100%
Yeah.
higher or 100% increase at like Act 2 or something. It's like 30% early, but still. Like I've got some build ideas. Like that chain hook sounds interesting, but I don't know if I want to bother leveling it if rare monsters are going to be tearing me a new one in Act 5 and it's not going to feel good until Act 9. But that's just me being lazy.
I wanted to
But you
ask
have so
about
much
that,
build.
Octavian, because I'm noticing it on my current build. I didn't notice the HP buff at all on my Trapper. Did you?
Only like briefly in early white maps when my gear was super jank. Past that, I haven't noticed it at all.
I legit didn't notice it. I think I did up to tier 13s on that character if I played something else. I didn't notice it the entire way through. I was just like, okay. And then I made my next build, and I'm like, oh, rare's the tanky, yeah, okay.
Rares feel like more rewarding to kill now though, which is good.
Chat
Even
also,
when leveling, they feel more rewarding.
Chat also mentions I had my luck. So I got an Act 1 Tabula. So that was pretty good. And then I 6-linked a chest and 4 fusings. So I never wasn't on a 6-link for that build, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like a 3-link +1 gems wand and a 4-link in early maps. So that's probably why I felt it a bit more.
Yeah, I was not gonna lie. I was checking out Octavian's bonds when he was talking about lightning trap because I love that skill. Just due to racing and like when lightning trap ignite was a thing, it was my favorite thing. Didn't look that impressive as you guys built it up on Octavian's bonds. no offense, Octavian.
Yeah, I mean, I was very lazy with my transition into maps. I always am. As I said earlier, leveling is like my least favorite part of the game. I don't min-max it hard at all. I just kind of turn my brain off, get to maps eventually, and then actually turn my brain on for whatever build I'm playing. I've leveled too many builds at this point. I can't think about it anymore. It makes my brain melt.
I really enjoyed that character, and I'd still be playing it now if I could make it tanky in a realistic way. I can't come up with a way to make that character feel like good for me.
Just get an elegant hubris that gives you 20% max life. Easy. Yeah, just divine into specifically the exact right number for that. Something you could do in your private league, actually. I corrupted On's heritage shields until I got a Fizz taken as implicit. So it's +3 max res and 8% of Fizz taken as Ellie. Yeah. And then also like 80 life. Very defensive option in that slot.
I think if I was to do anything with that build, it would be maybe like doing bow, quiver, combs, or some shit.
Could work.
Yeah.
Oh, bow slayer. I'm probably gonna play a bow slayer after this, to be honest.
That's what I'm thinking for my next build. I want to push because they made scarabs are a lot more available this league because of the league mechanics. So delving deep actually probably isn't going to be a headache. So I'm going to be pushing for delve 1k again, and I'm thinking bow slayer is the way to go for that.
Nice.
Grimro just says, I want to go on record and take back what I said about removing the loot cap. Okay.
What did he say about removing the loot cap?
He wanted to remove it. He's now saying, no, it needs to be there.
What changed his mind over the last few hours?
I imagine he probably looked at his stash and went, fuck me, dude, I've got a shit ton currency. Like, this
He's been
good.
watching this single run over and over again in the background. Yeah. All right, maybe this is fine.
Yeah. The build up. But yeah, you guys never really said about your ascendancies. Like, what really are your favorite? Actually, no, maybe a better question would be, which ascendancies you expected you would have the most fun with, and which ones you actually are having the most fun with?
I have a situation at the moment where there are a lot of ascendancies that I want to play, but I feel like because they're not working, it's like Glad. When I got that first 2-pointer, felt so fucking good. That was like the best leveling with Scourger on that Glad. Was like, it felt amazing. And then I got my explosions, I'm like, fuck you. And then I did some maps, and I'm like, I wish I was Slayer. And it was like, bruh, it hurt
Slayer
me.
envy.
It hurt me so fucking bad. It was really, and then I was like, oh. So now I'm playing the Zerk, and I'm really enjoying the Berserker, but it's just kind of like, One thing, I am surprised there aren't more Chieftains. I feel like Chieftains kind of just been left by the wayside, and everyone's just like, you know.
I really wanted to play a Castwall channeling Volatile Dead Chieftain this league, but apparently, I haven't tested it myself. From what I've heard, the Legion mobs don't have corpses.
They don't.
So I wouldn't be able to get VD orbs off of them.
Yeah.
So that kind of nipped that build in the
That build
bud.
gets slightly
Like if it's
fucked.
gonna feel, if it's gonna feel garbage for Legion, I don't want to play it. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with something else for Chieftain that I'm excited about, but that's like maybe Blastering. Blastering seems kind of neat, but yeah. It's a shame.
They did
No,
talk about
Chieftain
like.
is... Oh, go on.
Yeah. No, you go on. You're talking about relevant shit. I was gonna bring up something completely irrelevant, like always.
I've seen a lot of people be like, "Yo, Chieftain," and I think it's just gonna be it's one of those ascendancies that are not on the surface. Like it doesn't seem that exciting, but once people like figure out the power of some of the Chieftain stuff, especially like Tessalio, cleansing
Yeah,
water,
that node is
Salio.
insane.
So good.
So good.
Tessalio, yeah. Like people will make like crazy like regen builds and such. It's gonna be.
I'm waiting for
even big
Waggle
builds.
to make a sick Chieftain build, and everyone's gonna be like, dude.
It's such a waggle thing to do. Like
Yeah,
that's
it
the
really
thing.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Because everybody wants like speed and everything. Waggle's just like, I don't mind the slow cast speed or the movement speed. I'm just gonna make it like tanky and really solid. And then you don't want to do it yourself, and then you see him do it, and you're just like, okay, my build now.
I
Like
think. Oh, go ahead.
No, you.
Okay.
Tarke.
One of my favorite things is this was in Bestiary when Waggle was doing the whole like scorching ray occultists, and I'm like, dude, I need to get on this shit, and that's the epitome of that kind of like. I could make a fast build, and he's like, I'm just gonna make this tanky as fuck character, and I'll just face roll Uber Elder and shit. Yeah.
Sure. Champion too. Champion's kind of
really
weird
good.
like that, where it's really good, it's really efficient and everything, and yet something still makes me not want to play it. I don't
just
know.
boring.
Unless
a
it's
really
like
boring
impale
Ascendancy.
stacking. Yeah, but you can do bows
I
now
don't
so
know.
efficiently and everything.
It's fun to see your Impale stack up to 9 with the new jewel. It takes a while. There's like a ramp up with Impale, and Impale is so sick. Then you have like the new like cheat death as well. There's like a lot of things that'll stand out to you. I think with like oh, it saved me with champion.
You could do some
it's
like
cool,
Abyss
but-
Jewel stacking nonsense with a Hail Negator on Champion, and then also the cheat Death Ascendancy, and just have like 5 leases at life while you're playing the build. Also go for like I don't know, some life flask mods on the tree or a belt, so you have a super good instant life flask. That could be fun. What are you gonna do damage with? Hell if I know, but seems fun.
Dealing damage.
Who needs that?
Exactly.
Like Impale Bowchamp, I'm telling you, man, because now the Fortify has so much more value, and you can stack into it, and then you can make like really tanky bow characters this way as well.
I
feel like
planned
that's
out an
really
Impale life gain on hit Rain of Arrows champion. I just never played it, but that seemed kind of cool.
It's kind of a weird situation where before we didn't have enough conversions from Fizz to Ellie, and now I feel like there's no conversions from Ellie to Fizz, and I'm stuck with all these abilities that like convert, and I'm just like, no, I want to do Impale. I want brutality. I want like stances. Like fuck off with this stuff.
I was talking to
Piss me off.
Octavian, like, I finally understood. Octavian's been complaining about Scourger converting to Chaos for Bleed, and we've been taking the piss out of him for, like, 4 leagues. And then this week I literally said, I fucking wish I could go Bleed with my Skirt, and I was like, oh, he's right.
Exactly. Because it's so...
Chaos,
Okay, if you ignore the conversion to Chaos, which kills it entirely, Scourge Arrow is, like, insane for Bleed Bow. Because you got the multi for elements, and you got that like big hit from the initial arrow. But no, it converts to chaos. Can't do it. There's room in the game, I think. It might be too strong, actually, but maybe there's room in the game for some sort of unique or support gem or some kind of effect, maybe from Ascendancy. I don't know where you place it, that like disables innate conversion on jewels, or sorry, on skill gems.
I was sure that it's gonna be one of the new gems, honestly, the Vol ones. Like
one of the new keystones.
Yeah,
that could be
like that. That would have made sense. Like Avatar, we were laughing about this, like Avatar Fire, Avatar of Normal, or something. Like that would be a good thing.
They should just add like stuff. What's the ring called that does call to fire? They could do that where you need like 2 like big slots that you need to sacrifice to do something like this. And people would immediately try it out. I mean, I think that's like really in the PoE spirit as well, in terms of like converting things around and like sacrificing something. Because if they just give it for free, then we end up in like there's a high chance we end up in a not everything being chaos, but everything being Fizz. Because Fizz is the best right now. right? Ailment with all the Impale and the new Pride and everything. And we don't want to end up there anyways. Or
Thing is, I almost don't like conversions. I never
Yeah.
liked conversions. They're always like either really weak or they're really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it was with Chaos, and like the double converting is still a fucking really stupid mechanic, and it exists. Like I almost would like things to be like it's cool because every now and then you can come up with like a really cool build, right? But with things like Stormfire, for instance, you can still like bring out the elements and stuff. I don't know. And now you can make like attack abilities work a lot better without being so dependent on abyssal jewels and conversions and all this stuff. I don't know. I wish I wouldn't really mind if it was like the conversion league, the elemental league, the physical league. Well, I wouldn't mind it too much. But then again, this is the physical league, and I'm getting pissed off that there's too much elementals. I don't know. I guess I'll never have what I want. Shit.
No.
Would you say that like conversion skills should be the exception, not the norm? And now it feels like it's the other way around completely.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
like,
they
the
should
thing
start
is-
introducing like just pure skills again. They've done a lot of conversion recently.
I mean,
It's
last
so
league
much.
was all about like Fizz converted to this. You know?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's a lot, and it's especially a weird setup right now because I feel like it's a setup for something that they're trying to do in the future with conversions, like the way Infernal Blow doesn't deal physical damage, even though it converts, it gets extra fire damage. Like, why?
Oh, the flat.
Yeah, the flat damage, or like Lightning Strike. But then certain other things that convert get physical. So I don't know. It's so weird how they set that up. It's like is it conversion? Is it extra? Like, are you supposed to scale with Fizz or not? Are you supposed to pick up Fizz and Elemental and then not convert? Because if you're converting, then you maybe don't benefit from that if you're like at the bottom. Because right now, I feel like most of these skills are kind of stuck on like you convert 50% of your damage, you still scale Fizz, and then on top of it, you've got like this extra Elemental that you don't really do that much with because most of your nodes are for physical. And it's just kind of a weird feeling. And that's for one-handers. For two-handers, it completely doesn't make sense to me. Short rant. Sorry.
That's good.
I agree with you. I think like all conversion skills should just be Fizz, so you can always go like the Fizz conversion, or you can just convert it and then it's still flat, whatever element it is you converted it to. That doesn't change regardless of whatever you do. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, it's just
You
a
have,
matter
like,
of the extra steps along the way.
non-Fizz.
They're gained as extra and stuff
Yeah.
that might be problematic. Which like brings you back to that discussion that a lot of people were having last league, but not so much this league, where a lot of people were saying that it was the gained as extra applying at every step that was the problem with Fizz conversion, which I don't know how accurate that is. I honestly don't think that mechanic in and of itself is problematic, but it does to some degree limit design space in terms of conversion and how many different conversion steps you can really realistically like easily allow.
For sure.
But I think it's an interesting mechanic, and I would not like to see it go the way of stat sticks, personally.
No. It's
miss
interesting.
stat sticks right now.
You miss
What's that?
stat sticks?
No, I don't really miss stat sticks right now.
I don't miss stat sticks at all.
No.
It's just such a better way to do things. Except, yeah, I still do think that I don't know. Maybe it's too early to call this, but two-handers, yeah. Feeling locked into a two-hander not because I feel it's good and the right choice, but instead it's the only option that the ability has.
Oh, sweet.
That kind of feels shitty.
Yeah,
it's like
only
sleep,
sweep,
yeah.
right?
I
Isn't that
mean,
the only skill that requires a two. Isn't that it? The only one where it's like strictly.
maybe you're right.
two-handed?
Actually,
I think it's only sweep.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, but then like even like static strike, it doesn't scale with attack speed, so it feels kind of bad. Or like earthquake.
I like that though, as a concept.
No, you
The
would
fact
do
that
that with
you
one-hander.
you can't really scale it in a good way, but I like the idea that there's like a skill where you kind of like you scale it and you have to do like something else with it than all the skills, where it's just attack speed.
You know what? I actually Earthquake is a good example of that, where I really like the
Yeah.
idea of like initially playing it with a two-hander, and eventually once your build gets good enough, you can switch to a one-hander if you want the speed for it. Like that sort of thing. I like that concept a lot. But then like two-handers being a stepping stone to a one-hander, I don't know, that probably would rub people the wrong way. And they did all this like less attack speed stuff. Less attack speed feels fucking
Yeah,
awful.
I wanted to ask you guys about that. It feels like some skills feel worse now. It's like,
Oh
oh,
my
melee league, let's
God.
go, and they're like,
what skills?
kill
On
fucking attack
paper,
speed.
on paper, a like large slow hit sounds good, but in practice in Path of Exile, it's really, really difficult to get that to actually feel nice to play. Like, I haven't played with many of the new melee skills outside of testing them a little bit, like very early. But I can speak to Doriani's Fist feeling like garbage. And that was something that they did, what was it, last league? They changed Doriani's Fist to have like massive effectiveness and like a big AoE. It just does, you know, a ton of damage if you actually scale it, but it's got 50% less attack speed. And in that instance, it's obviously an extreme instance, the trade-off did not feel worthwhile.
Yeah, I almost feel like that's the reason why they gave us like Berserker and Gladiator and the way it is, where it's just like you can build it normally, but if you really have a problem with this, you know, just play one of these Ascendancies and it'll be all right. But normally, yeah, it doesn't feel that great. But then again, like we have a comparison to other things. I think somebody just getting into the game probably won't really mind it. But then, you know, Pulverize Sweep with its 50% less attack speed.
Yeah, it's big.
It's
It's
pretty
rough.
Yeah.
Gladiator helps a bit there, but still.
Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of exhausted ourselves a little bit. Is there anything else that we want to touch on, or should we wrap up?
I'm good.
Good.
All good.
You sure, Octavian? You, look at your face. You're like you have something you need to say.
I mean, there's one other little thing we
Go
didn't
for
have
it.
space to mention. Precision Watcher's Eyes are really good.
Oh, no, let's not talk about those.
No, you don't want people to.
No,
I haven't seen them.
No.
Don't want people to know.
Alk got like Alk got a pride one with 2 impale and a precision
Oh, jeez.
for 3x.
What?
Precision is so easy to enable in your build. You need to reserve barely anything for it. So, like, it's just value added on any good Watcher's Eye. You know? If you get, like, what is it? I think it's a crit multi one or, like, 70% attack damage one. Like, a lot of builds can just use that, and it's fine to pay the 22 or 25 mana to reserve a level 1 Precision to activate it. It's very, very easy. So, if you get Precision in your Watcher's
he
Eye,
got the one with the flash charge on crit. It's absolutely bonkers.
that's insane.
2 impale. Oh my god.
That how much did you say?
Calculator.
3x.
Isn't that like double damage?
That's like a
Like going
tenth
from
of what
9
it's
to
worth.
11?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little disgusting. I feel that.
I want that so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Whoever sold that, I hope for their sake they're not watching.
To your point.
I wanted to ask you about that there, Raiz. Someone was like, Tarke, Raiz says precision is dog shit. I'm like, what?
Oh.
Precision's lit. Apparently you said that? Like, what's this about?
I don't like precision.
Why?
I mean, it's useful in like
What do you
certain
don't?
builds. It's cool that you can like optimize it, and there's things like Watcher's Eye and whatnot. But it's not that it's dog shit. It's just overhyped. I'm fed up with people constantly crying about how like every build has to use it 100%.
Oh, no, I agree with you.
Yeah, you don't want to put it in every build. But...
That being said, I am using precision right now, so you know, I do feel like I don't know. People are almost overestimating like how much accuracy you need. It's so easy. I feel like maybe a lot of people pick up like 200% accuracy, but then absolutely 0 flat. It's like, dude, get like 200 flat, and you go from 80% hit chance to like 100. It's pretty crazy. And then there's the whole thing like which like tier of content you're doing. I'm trying to figure out the freaking impale thing, how much damage that would be going from a 9 to an 11. It doesn't even freaking have it on the calculator. It's only until 10.
Wouldn't it be 7 to 9? Because 5 is base, right? And then champion is 7, and then 2 extra from the Watcher's Eye.
Yeah, but then doesn't the impale thing also add?
Is there another source of 2 that I'm not aware of?
Or is
What
it
are we talking
only
about?
The count of impales you can have on an enemy.
No, 9.
Yeah,
Oh,
I thought
okay.
9 was the
There was
top end with
11.
the Watcher's Eye enchant.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought that the impale gem also adds 2. My bad.
Oh, that would be insane.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, it's already pretty bonkers, but
Yeah.
my bad.
I will say though, for the 2 people who are also playing Ellie Overload attack builds, precision feels amazing for that. Because I'm doing non-crit Ellie hit, it feels so good.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
That was all though. Precision Watcher's Eye adds extra value to your Watcher's Eyes. Keep an eye out for it.
Oh yeah.
I hope to see more like attack-based builds that utilize the like attack-based like top of the skill tree builds that just have a larger pool of mana where precision isn't like 25% of your mana. If you actually like level it up and don't gimmick it up with like a level 1, or something like that, where it would actually be worthwhile because you just have more. So, yeah. But I don't
mean,
think we're
Howard
gonna get that
Jock,
whole lot.
right? You go
Howard
Howard
Jock.
Jock. Massive amounts of mana, Shaper gloves, and the fully leveled precision.
I mean, in general, like traveling to Ellie Overload is so worthwhile now on a lot of builds. It's just that we won't be seeing like people playing an Elementalist with something like that anymore,
Yeah.
I guess I could just say
narrows it down.
I was pretty disappointed they didn't do anything to buff Ellie Overload. Like, I feel like it needs some love. Because they buffed
Really?
crit last league, they've like added all this new like attack crit now. Because I always have preferred non-crit to crit builds. I've just always have, and I feel like I'm doing it purely because I just like it, not because it's the better choice. It never feels like the better choice to me. I don't know.
Nah, dude, it's totally. If you go, you can totally make non-crit work now.
No, you can make it work, but it
I
just
think
it feels
No,
non-crit
but
is better.
it can be the best. Like, that's what I'm saying. It can actually be the best choice. You don't even need RT either when you go that. You can just stack the 3k like accuracy without even like it's not too hard on like endgame builds, and then just be non-crit. Just scale all the things. You'll crit it like every now and then, but you don't actually put a single node into that, and then you just pick all the other nodes for defense or whatever else it is you want.
Actually, I agree with what Uber Elite mentions in the chat that the position is the annoying part of EO.
Yeah,
I
that's more what I meant. Sorry, like, but yeah.
I would almost like move EO. I would, actually, maybe I would even shift EO and EE. No.
Yeah,
What?
I prefer that. I prefer that.
Yeah. Or maybe even like put EO by instead of resolute technique, shift those. Because like you don't accuracy is not a problem at all, and then you can scale like Ellie builds a lot more. I mean, you have to travel a lot now, but I don't know if that wouldn't be too big of a boost for something like Koa. Just somewhere like more towards the middle / downside of the skill tree, since accuracy is like yikes.
And further away from Elementalist to just like nail it in, you're dead.
Fuck him, dude.
Dude,
You gotta pick up spiritual
actually,
aid
maybe
anyway.
that could be how they buff Elementalist. Put EO in like the melee part of the tree, and then Elementalist gets EO like as a point, as a 2-pointer. That'd be kind of cool.
Ooh, I think it would be different. I think if anything, they would move EO where EE is, and then remove EE and only give it to Elementalist.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
Because like Elementalist's got that whole like different
That's a big nerf to RF.
Yeah. Get
RF
it.
Elementalist, bitch.
Fuck that thing.
I mean, I guess you could still access it with like the unique Ziggy ring that gives Ellie equilibrium.
Yeah,
but yeah.
that would work. Yeah.
Actually, that would be the thing. Predictions. What do you think they're gonna do with Elementalist?
I think they're gonna leave
throw
it in
some
the
dirt on
bin
the
for
grave?
like 5 leagues, and then they'll do something with it.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be dead for a while.
I think they're gonna.
Really?
I think they're gonna leave it dead for a long time. Like a long time.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like I think it's gonna get like minor buffs over time, and then all of a sudden it's gonna hit that threshold, and it's like good again.
I think it's gonna be something tied to like a mechanic similar to EO. Maybe something like your minions can proc EO or something, or I don't know, where it like ties itself into golems, or maybe like a certain herald type allows you to have like only that level of EO. So if you,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. Something like that.
I wish that we could proc
Yeah.
EO with traps. I feel like traps and mines. I wish I could do those as non-crit without feeling. It'd be so cool being able to proc EO with traps.
Yeah. I'll grant you that. It's really hard to scale like non-crit
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
traps. It really is.
It's impossible, I would say.
The
Like,
trap
you can
rolls
do
are
it,
all
but
crits.
All the
They're all
nodes are good for
crits
crit.
as well.
So it's like,
There's
yeah.
just not a reason to.
yeah. It'd be nice if you could, though. It's always like, if you want to be that special guy, but it's like, it's just a little bit too much.
well, the thing is, like, traps and mines kind of, well, mines less so, but traps specifically kind of lost their whole mechanical advantage with like reflect being gone
And double
You know.
dipping back in the day.
And then they
Yeah,
they
double
hit
dipping.
Cluster Trap pretty hard when they nerfed. Or they buffed everything in Incursion, and then what league did they then like got the trap support gem stuff?
Delve.
Yeah,
Just right after.
that hurt. I don't think they had to do that at all, to be honest. I don't know. But saying that, it does so much fucking damage, you know. It's whatever.
Yeah, RT is in a tough spot for sure. I don't know what's up with that note. Like,
I don't think we spoke about it. Jonathan, when he was on, he was like how RT was a problem. Did that
Is
stand
that
out to you
one?
guys? Like
I don't remember that.
he was talking. It was when he was on, and he was talking about like, oh yeah, so we're reworking accuracy because Resolute Technique is so strong, and I was like, what?
I recall something to that effect. I don't know if he was talking
Yeah,
specifically about Resolute Technique. I think he might have used it as an example of avoiding accuracy.
Yeah.
You know, of like hits can't be evaded.
Oh.
And that being
That's
too
true.
strong of a mechanic. Which, yeah, I think they were successful in making hits can't be evaded a good amount less relevant in the modern day. You know, I see a lot of people skipping it as a prefix on their weapons when multi-modding and stuff now because it's just, you can get the accuracy. Like, it's still an option. It lets you maybe drop precision if you want to free that up, or drop a couple nodes in the tree or something, but it's nowhere near as like cut and dried. This is absolutely insane. Best prefix, put that on, kind of thing.
Sure.
I mean, accuracy is. I feel like accuracy is in a good spot.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they did a really good job with it. I think it's great that we have a 100% chance to hit as well now. It's like,
oh yeah, that's the biggest
thank
part.
you.
Yeah.
No, I think they did really well with that change. Overall, like if you look at like just the whole like Legion and everything, if you look past the obvious troubles they had with like the release and the bugs and all that, like the ideas they had with like accuracy and just the general like changes to melee and how they would like it to work, I definitely see them going in the right direction here. So I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah.
On that, I think we should wrap up. I need a nap. I'm not saying we should finish because I need to have a nap. It's not at all because of that, but I do need a nap. I'd like to thank everyone for coming on, as always, and we shall see everyone in 2 weeks' time, and by that point, we'll have unlocked the Chain Hook Lightning Warp meta, and we'll have all the glowy brain ideas for you. But yes, anyway. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
I'm waving to you, just can't.
Thanks. Bye.
Hang on.
Oh.
I can make this work. Look, he's waving. He's waving.
Uh...
Yeah.